Chapter 1, 2008, 5th of April, Saturday, Sun City No. 1 High School, Year 12 for Classroom. Fong Ping spent half an hour before he finally confirmed one thing. It was not a dream, and it was not a movie. Nonsense. If filming could restore his classmates' youth, then the production team must be in heaven. After confirming the fact that he had been reborn, Fong Ping hesitated for a moment before accepting it calmly, as one of the 5 poisons youths of the new era who did not have rebirth experience. Even if he had not been reborn, there were plenty of them on the internet. Just by looking at them, he would know that this was the ultimate weapon of the short, weak, and poor against the tall, rich, and handsome. Moreover, he had neither money nor girls. He could live a few more years without doing anything after being reborn. It was not a loss no matter how he looked at it. It was not easy for her to endure until the bell rang. The familiar, yet somewhat unfamiliar teacher dragged on for a few minutes before reluctantly leaving. As for what the teacher said before he left, Fong Ping treated it as if he had misheard it. Registration for martial sciences starts next week. Students with ideas, please prepare yourselves. Fong Ping did not think much of it. He had heard it as social sciences registration. Gaokao registration was done in advance, but the school usually did it for them. There was no need to remind them. The most important thing was that Year 12-4 was a science class. It had nothing to do with social sciences, right? However, since he had been reborn, Fong Ping did not care about such trivial matters. Right now, Fong Ping was thinking of punching Jack Ma and kicking Ma Huareng. Even though 2008 was a little late, would a reborn be called a reborn if he did not do something unexpected? Or should he switch to politics instead of business? Fong Ping was in no mood to chat with the students around him as he calculated in his mind. These youngsters could not imagine the grand goal in his mind. From today onwards, they were not in the same world. Just as Fong Ping was working on his future plans, the tall and burly Yang Jian in the front row suddenly turned around and asked, "Fong Ping, Chen Fan, are you guys going to register?" Fong Ping had a deep impression of Yang Jian, but it was not because he was handsome. The key was that when Fong Ping and the others had a high school reunion, Yang Jian, who had just graduated, had grown a full beard. Fong Ping almost thought that Yang Jian's father had come to the reunion as well. After that, Fong Ping had never forgotten this bearded classmate. He was too distinctive. Fong Ping's mind was preoccupied with other matters, so he did not think to reply. Chen Fan, Fong Ping's deskmate, and one of the members of the ordinary duo, shook his head and said, "I'm not signing up. It's just a waste of money. It costs 10,000 just to register, and I'm sure I won't be able to get in. With this much money, I'll be able to cover a year's worth of living expenses and tuition fees." Yang Jian sighed and said, "That's true. However, I still feel somewhat dissatisfied. If I don't try, I might regret it for the rest of my life." Yang Jian's deskmate was also a boy. Fong Ping could not remember his name clearly. He turned his head and joined the discussion, his expression downcast, as he said, "This is our only chance to make a great leap. Unfortunately, it has nothing to do with us." The 3 of them sighed and lamented at the same time. Fong Ping was confused and baffled. Sign up? The liberal arts registration mentioned by the teacher just now? The registration fee was 10,000 yuan? This was 2008. If memory served him right, the price of a house in Sun City was only about 4,000 per square meter. How much did the exam registration cost? Are these guys wrong? Or have they been scammed? Fong Ping was just about to interrupt and ask when his deskmate, Chen Fan, pushed his glasses up and said with a determined expression, "Even if we don't take the martial sciences exam and take the liberal arts exam, we might still be able to make a name for ourselves. There are martial arts training classes in society. When we graduate and earn some money, we can continue our studies. Even if we can't compare to the martial sciences, at least there's still hope." As soon as he said that, Yang Jian's deskmate also said excitedly, "That's right. get into a famous liberal arts school. When you graduate, your salary and benefits won't be low either. I still want to try. Yang Jian was hesitant. He came from a wealthy family and had a healthy body. He would not be satisfied if he did not try. Chen Fan and his desk mate did not stop Yang Jian from trying. Even though the chances were slim, there would always be people who would not give up when the opportunity was right in front of them. Although they were all young, they understood that if they dissuaded Yang Jian now and caused him to miss out on the opportunity, they would become enemies. The three of them were talking passionately, but Fong Ping was confused. What was going on? Fong Ping swallowed and looked at the three of them for a while. He did not see any signs of joking or teasing. That was when he realized that something was wrong. Just as he was about to ask, he was interrupted again. At the desk next to Fong Ping's, there were two boys whispering to each other. They probably felt that the discussion was not interesting enough with fewer people. When Fong Ping's side quieted down, a boy with a crew cut asked excitedly, "Yang Jian, Chen Fan, did you see the news online last night?" Yang Jian and his desk mate shook their heads. The Gaokao was around the corner. Now that their families were strict, they did not have time to go online. Seeing that the two of them did not know, and that Fong Ping and the other boy were also confused, the crew cut boy laughed. "What a pity. Big news broke out last night. Did you know? Grandmaster Ma broke through rank 8. Grandmaster Ma is not even 40 years old this year, but he's already the #1 martial arts powerhouse of the younger generation. Yesterday, Penguin Corporation officially issued a letter of challenge to Google's Asia-Pacific president, the veteran rank 8 powerhouse, Tam. What? Is this for real? Grandmaster Ma broke through rank 8? Didn't he just break through rank 7 a few years ago? I can't believe it. Zhang Hao, tell us quickly. Is it a public challenge or a private one? A rank 8 battle. I really want to watch it, but we don't have the right to watch it. The Gaokao was around the corner for year 3 students. Not many of them were still online after school. Therefore, even though the news last night had caused a sensation, not many people in class knew about it. The crew cut boy, Zhang Hao, had spoken quite loudly just now. When he finished before Fong Ping and the others could even respond, the students nearby who had overheard the conversation began to get excited. Zhang Hao, on the other hand, enjoyed the joy of being the center of attention. He said happily, "It's true. Grandmaster Ma really broke through. It's not just us. Who in the world would believe that he could break through rank 8 so quickly?" Therefore, when the letter of challenge was released, the whole world was shocked. As long as Grandmaster Ma defeats Tam this time, Penguin Corporation will be able to enter the Asian countries on a large scale and become one of the Asian hegemons. In a few years, once Grandmaster Ma breaks through rank 9, Penguin Corporation will become one of the world's hegemons. God, this is too fast. Rank 8 Grandmaster. Has the Grandmaster ranking been updated? Grandmaster Ma is going to fight his way into the top 30. F***CK off. Top 30? I say, top 20 won't be a problem. It can't be. Grandmaster Ma has just broken through, after all. How can he rise to the top 20 so quickly? Unless he defeats Tam, there's still a chance. At this time, the students were already discussing among themselves. Everyone's eyes showed excitement, admiration, agitation, and desire. Even the girls were no exception. The only exception in the entire class was Fong Ping. Fong Ping's brain was in a mess. His face was blank, and he was completely dumbfounded. What was going on? He understood what everyone was saying. He could definitely recognize every word that was written. Why did he not understand them at all when they were strung together? Who was Grandmaster Ma? Of course, he knew about Penguin Corporation. In 2008, Penguin Corporation was already the king of the IT industry. He also knew about Google. It would be strange if he did not know. Did Zhang Hao mean that Penguin and Google were competing in business? Why? Why did it sound so strange? Chapter 2. In the classroom. Fong Ping's head was full of fog, and his heart was filled with anxiety. When everyone was almost done with their discussion, Fong Ping nudged Chun Fan beside him and whispered, "Ma, Grandmaster Ma, is that Ma Huadeng?" Chun Fan's expression changed and became serious instantly. He said seriously, Fong Ping calling a grandmaster by his name is the biggest disrespect. Fong Ping. Fong Ping wanted to cry. He could not even say his name. Brother Ma's power was even scarier than the president's. However, Fong Ping was sure of one thing. Penguin's CEO was still Brother Ma. The company was right. The CEO was right. The only thing that was wrong was the martial arts powerhouse that everyone was talking about. He felt like there was something strange suddenly mixed in, making Fong Ping feel like there was a fishbone stuck in his throat. Suppressing his desire to refute, Fong Ping said casually, "I've been busy preparing for the Gaokao recently and haven't seen the news. Tell me, is there anything interesting?" Chun Fan said indifferently, "It's all about the things that happened before. Grandmaster Ma breaking through rank 8 was a bit unexpected." Chun Fan was not a big fan of gossip, but the future bearded Yang Jian in the front row was still a chatterbox. The class bell had not rung yet, so Yang Jian heard Fong Ping's question. He turned his head and whispered, "There aren't a lot of confirmed big news, but I saw some gossip a few days ago and heard some rumors. I don't know if they're accurate, though. I heard that Master Ma from Tanuki might have broken through rank 7 recently and become a grandmaster. Grandmaster Li from Baidu seems to be preparing to go into seclusion to break through rank 8. Grandmaster Li broke through rank 7 at about the same time as Grandmaster Ma from Penguin. However, Grandmaster Li's martial arts progress is not as fast as Grandmaster Ma's, so it's hard to say if he can break through. Right, there's another news. Our Nanjiang province's Governor General Zhang might break through rank 7 soon. Once Governor General Zhang breaks through rank 7, it'll be amazing. Nanjiang has been weak for many years. Now, there are only a few older rank 7 grandmasters in charge. Governor General Zhang is still young. If he breaks through, there's a chance that he'll go one step further and wipe out the chronic weakness of Nanjiang's martial arts. Also, before this year's Martial Science University entrance examination, our school invited a senior who was admitted to Nanjiang Martial Arts University last year to give us a speech. Yang Jian went on and on with his gossip, but Fong Ping felt like he was listening to a heavenly book. Most of the gossip that Yang Jian mentioned was related to martial artists. So-and-so might be about to break through. So-and-so was in seclusion. Among them, Fong Ping had heard of some of their names. They were not limited to the business world, but the entertainment world and even the political world. From some of Yang Jian's casual words, Fong Ping could sense that martial artists were highly respected in this society. Powerhouses below rank 7 were addressed by Yang Jian as master, and those above rank 7 were addressed as grandmasters. On the other hand, it could be seen that all the famous people seemed to be martial arts experts. In other words, if one wasn't an expert, one wouldn't be famous. In between, Fong Ping asked casually, "How strong are these people?" In the end, Yang Jian did not hold back at all. He said, "Any random martial artist can turn us into sieves." When the bell rang before the teacher arrived, Yang Jian lamented, "If I can't pass the martial sciences exams and become a martial artist, I'll be stuck like this for the rest of my life." It's the same for business. It's difficult for an ordinary person to stand out. When he said that, Fong Ping was stunned again. Chun Fan, who had not spoken much before, was also a little disappointed. He said in a low voice, "Martial artists are the minority after all. Besides, for us, whether it's business or politics, we probably won't be able to reach that stage. There's no need to care about these things." Through their conversation, Fong Ping could vaguely sense something. According to his understanding, if one did not become a martial artist, one would not be able to become an official above the department level, and one would not be able to do business in other cities. He did not know if it was a hard and fast rule or if it was a tacit agreement. No matter which one it was, Fong Ping could feel the intense malice that this society had towards him. If he did not become a martial artist, if he did not become a powerhouse, even if he was a reincarnator, he would probably be stuck at the bottom for the rest of his life. Most importantly, Fong Ping seriously wondered if he was a reincarnator. Although his classmates' appearances did not change, their names did not change, and the names of the big bosses and companies all matched his memory. However, a high-energy vocation had suddenly popped up. Were the others really the same as he remembered? He wanted to ask a few more questions, but the teacher had already entered the classroom. The others returned to their seats and stopped chatting. Moreover, these things seemed like common sense to the others, so Fong Ping did not want to ask any further. If he asked any further, these guys might even suspect that he had lost his memory. After some thought, Fong Ping asked Chen Fan in a low voice while the teacher was turning away, "Is there an internet cafe near our school?" Chen Fan looked at him strangely, but he still replied, "Of course there is. Didn't you always go to the Blue Sky Internet Cafe?" Phew. Fong Ping exhaled and nodded without saying another word. It seemed like some things were still the same. For example, the Internet Cafe with the cliched name was still there. Since the Internet Cafe was still there, it meant that some things had not changed. If he went to the Internet Cafe after school, he should be able to find out what he wanted to know. Seeing Fong Ping's relief, Chun Fan reminded him kindly, "Although we can't pass the martial sciences exams, we shouldn't give up. If we do well in social sciences, we still have a chance to make a name for ourselves. Who knows, we might even have a chance to become a martial artist in the future. The Gaokao is right around the corner, so it's better not to go to internet cafes too much." Fong Ping smiled and nodded. As a member of the ordinary duo, Chun Fan did not speak much, but they were of similar backgrounds, so he still cared about his deskmate. Fong Ping finally made it through the remaining classes in the morning. As soon as the school bell rang, he rushed out of the classroom. Right now, he had a stomach full of questions that needed answers. Seeing Fong Ping rushing out, Chun Fan thought for a moment before chasing after him. "Are you going for lunch or the internet cafe?" "The internet cafe. Come back early. The first class in the afternoon is the homeroom teacher's class." Fong Ping answered. Since his parents were at work, he ate his lunch at the fast food restaurant near the school, so he did not have to go home. Taking advantage of his free time in the afternoon, his strong thirst for knowledge made him want to go to the internet cafe to learn more about things he did not know. With quick steps, Fong Ping scanned his surroundings briefly. Sun City No. 1 High School was the same as he remembered. His classmates and teachers were normal, and Fong Ping did not see anyone running on walls. The only difference was that the school had strange slogans and signboards. "Prepare for the Gaokao. Here I come for the martial sciences exams. Fight to the death for the martial sciences exams. Come to Greenbird for the martial sciences exams. Greenbird Martial Arts Tutorial Class is your best choice. 1 blood and chi replenishing pill, and you'll get into the martial sciences exams." If it were not for these strange things appearing in the school, Fong Ping would have reason to believe that the scammers and vigor pill sellers had snuck into the school. Right now, however, seeing that everyone seemed to be used to it, Fong Ping understood that this was not the world he remembered. As for how big the gap was, he would have to figure it out first. 10 minutes later, Fong Ping arrived at the Blue Sky Internet Cafe, not too far from the school. It was the same familiar smell and the same familiar signboard. The Internet Cafe that had looked classy in the past now looked shabby. The words Blue Sky Internet Cafe were almost unrecognizable. Stepping into the Internet Cafe, he saw the familiar yet unfamiliar female employee sitting at the bar by the entrance. She was a young girl. Thinking back to the days when he was young and full of hormones, The female employee who dressed more maturely than the students had snuck into Fong Ping's dreams a few times to do some shameful things. Looking at it now, Fong Ping felt that his eyes must have been a little crooked when he was young. That was true. If he was really beautiful, why would he be an employee? He glanced at the female employee. Fong Ping was not in the mood to hit on girls. Even if he did, girls of this level were not suitable for a classy reincarnator. However, the moment he thought of Grandmaster Ma, the feeling of looking down on him vanished. Reincarnators were classy, but the key was that they had been reborn in the right place. Fong Ping did not beat around the bush after cursing in his heart. He went straight to the point. How much does it cost for an hour to get a machine? 3 yuan. The female employee's answer was straightforward. She asked immediately, "Are you a member? If you're not, open a membership. Top up 50 yuan and get 10 yuan free." Fong Ping's expression was arrogant. He could not be bothered with her. Charging 50 yuan and only getting 10 yuan free? That was too stingy. Besides, which eye of hers saw that he looked like he had 50 yuan. After a few classes in the morning, Fong Ping had figured out his net worth. His entire wealth was 28 yuan. This amount of money, including his lunch money, would have to be able to top up 50 yuan even if he wanted to. Ignoring the employee's promotion, Fong Ping fished out a 5 yuan bill from his pocket and slapped it on the counter with a proud look on his face. Of course, the female employee also ignored a poor B** starred like him. She tossed him a temporary membership card and ignored him. Fong Ping really wanted to yell, "Don't bully a poor young man." But considering that the employee's rank was too low, he decided to leave that to the big shots. He did not argue with the employee anymore. He took the temporary membership card and went to a corner of the internet cafe. As the computer was turned on, Fong Ping hungrily searched for the information he wanted to know. The dim blue light from the screen made Fong Ping's expression look gloomy. If there was someone sitting near Fong Ping, they would be able to sense Fong Ping's strangeness. Sometimes his expression changed. Sometimes he felt indignant. And sometimes he gritted his teeth. Sometimes Fong Ping even cursed. No one knew if he was cursing the heavens or someone else. After more than an hour, the machine shut down automatically. The internet fee was gone. Fong Ping was not in the mood to top up anymore. He walked out of the internet cafe with some confusion and understanding. The moment he stepped out of the internet cafe, Fong Ping's expression became much more determined. He gritted his teeth and said, "I'll take the martial sciences exam." Chapter 3. Outside the internet cafe. Fong Ping's expression was resolute, his eyes filled with stubbornness. He had to be stubborn. After more than an hour of browsing, Fong Ping finally understood some things. For example, what was a martial artist? Modern martial artists were not much different from martial arts novels and movies from his past life. The only difference was that the setting was modern. The occupation of martial artists appeared openly in modern society. If it was just a high-energy occupation, even if Fong Ping was interested in Superman, he would not necessarily become a martial artist. In today's society, however, martial artists were not just a high-energy occupation. They represented power and status. The law of the jungle was an unchanging truth. In his past life, the difference was not so obvious. After all, everyone was a normal person who could be shot down with one shot. However, in this society full of martial arts powerhouses, the gap between them could not be more obvious. For example, Fong Ping did not fully understand what Yang Jian had said about politics and business. Now, however, he understood it completely. Normal people were the mainstream of this society. There were no restrictions on what they could do. However, according to the law, yes, the law, for a company to expand beyond the city, the registered legal representative must be a martial artist. There was no limit to the rank. For a company to expand beyond the province, the legal representative must have a rank requirement. It must not be lower than rank 4. According to the information Fong Ping found online, martial artists today were divided into 9 ranks. Rank 1 was the lowest, and rank 9 was the highest. Those below rank 4 were low-stage martial artists. Those above rank 7 were high-stage martial artists. These people were also known as grandmaster-level powerhouses. To establish a company to expand beyond the province, the legal representative must be a powerhouse above rank 4. Although the law did not stipulate that he wanted to become a multinational corporation, Fong Ping had done a simple search on the internet. Without a rank 7 martial artist, no matter how good the company's products were and how many customers there were, entering other countries and regions recklessly was no different from committing suicide. Even if the corporation had a powerhouse above rank 7, they would still have to prove their strength. For example, Brother Ma, Penguin's products were similar to his past life. They mainly used instant messaging. QQ was still the main online messaging tool in Sino Nation. However, that was only limited to Sino Nation. Penguin could not even enter Asia now. Although Ma Huateng's strength had reached rank 7, as a global corporation, Google had also developed instant messaging software. Google's powerhouse in Asia was a rank 8 martial Dao realm. If Ma Huateng could not prove his ability to compete with Google for resources, then he could forget about expanding. Because they are not in the country, the people you send to expand might disappear without a trace overnight. Only by proving to the outside world and his peers that he had the ability to expand could he expand steadily. This was also the reason why Ma Huateng chose to challenge Tem immediately after breaking through to rank 8. The outcome of this challenge was not important. What was important was to prove that he, Ma Huateng, was already a level 8 peerless expert and was qualified to get a share. This was the rule of the business world, and it was more or less the same in other worlds. For example, in the political world, it was slightly different from his previous life. Within a province, the governor had the most authority. The governor of a province was at least in the rank 4 martial Dao realm. In reality, there were almost no provincial governors below rank 5. In some strong provinces, the governors were rank 7 grandmasters. The current governor of Nanjiang province was currently at rank 6 martial Dao realm. Although he was not the weakest among the provincial governors, he was not considered strong either. This also caused him to be unable to fight for more resources for Nanjiang. The amount of resources determined the government's strength and investment in the cultivation of martial artists. Previously, there was a rumor that Nanjiang's governor was about to break through. This was the reason why Yang Jian was so excited when he talked about this. A grandmaster-level governor could fight for more resources for Nanjiang. This was the case in the political, business, and military worlds. Even the entertainment industry and other industries were no exception. The famous heavenly kings and queens not only had to be talented and good-looking, but they also had to have extraordinary martial strength. If you did not have the strength, no matter how much wealth you earned, you would not be able to keep it, unless you had the support of a powerful father. Nowadays, the second generation of rich people and officials had a unified name. Second generation of martial artists. This was because those with money and power were all powerful martial artists. An extremely small number of ordinary people could also reach the top, but these people, without exception, all had powerful martial artists supporting them. Also, they had to show their absolute value, a value that was many times more demanding than martial artists. If one could not become a martial artist, they were destined to have nothing to do with being a social elite or having power and influence. This extreme difference also caused all ordinary people in modern society to yearn to become a martial artist. Even the weakest martial artist, if they did not do anything and just put their name in some small company, they would earn at least $1 million a year. In reality, those who could truly become martial artists without exception were all the elites of society. These people unless they submitted to other stronger people, rarely did things like being affiliated to others. Most of them started their own businesses. Compared to ordinary people, their advantages were too obvious. If I don't become a martial artist, no matter how many golden ideas I have, it's just sending food to others, Fong Ping muttered to himself. Fong Ping muttered to himself. This was also the bloody truth. He had just gone online to search for information. Other than matters related to martial artists, everything else was similar to his past life. In other words, if Fong Ping wanted to start his own business, things like products and ideas were not bad. The key was that Fong Ping did not have the ability to protect himself. It did not matter much if he made a small profit, but it would be a fool's dream if he wanted to make it big and strong. If he crossed the line, the biggest possibility was that his business would be taken away. This was because Sino Nation's legal system was relatively complete, and there were also countless powerhouses in the government. They would not go as far as to kill you, but the business you earned would most likely be taken advantage of by others. For example, right now, there was no such thing as WeChat in society. If Fong Ping created it, there would only be two outcomes. First, it would become someone else's. Second, it would be something that circulated in the city as a form of entertainment. If it went beyond the city, no matter how much money it made, it would not be yours. As for who it belonged to, that would depend on the strength of the parties involved. Ordinary people would have to work diligently. At most, they could open a small company or workshop and wander around the city. Even in the city, it was not guaranteed that it would be safe. This kind of precarious, fearful life was more restrictive than the ordinary people in his past life. If Fong Ping did not want to be a salted fish, then becoming a martial artist was a must. Even if he wanted to be a salted fish, he should at least be a salted fish that did not have to worry about food and clothing, and his safety was guaranteed, right? Fortunately, there were still many ordinary people in this world. Society did not really abandon them and cut off their hopes of advancing. The Gaokao was the hope for countless ordinary people to rise to the top in a single step. Nowadays, some of the famous schools had established martial sciences faculties to train martial artists so that the ordinary people would not lose hope. There were also some professional martial arts schools that would recruit students during the Gaokao. However, as the saying went, the poor were scholars while the rich were martial artists. Martial artists possessed great strength, and the resources they expended far exceeded that of ordinary people. Training a martial artist would cost a lot of money. Under such circumstances, those who passed the martial sciences exam and received the country's resources to train them were the chosen ones. Therefore, the Gaokao every year was more difficult for martial sciences students than it was for famous schools in his past life. In 2007, there were a total of 9 million students who took the Gaokao in Sino Nation. However, the universities across the country accepted less than 20,000 martial sciences students. This was the total number of all the schools. In his past life, universities like Tsinghua University and Peking University only accepted a few thousand students each year, but there were many famous schools as well. Universities like the 985 universities took in more than 100,000 students each year. Nowadays, there were more than 100 universities and professional martial arts schools across the country that had established martial sciences faculties. 100 universities enrolled 20,000 students, which was too little on average. An admission rate of 1% might not seem low, but that was for big cities. In small cities, the rate was 10 times higher. This was also the main reason why Chin Fan and the others felt hopeless. Other than that, there were many other requirements to meet when applying for the martial sciences exam. The 10,000 yuan registration fee that Chin Fan mentioned earlier was only the lowest requirement. Disregarding the other requirements, the registration fee alone was enough to give Fong Ping a headache. The registration for the martial sciences exam would start next week, and there was a time limit too. After the time limit was up, he would not be able to apply for the martial sciences exam, even if he had the money. the 10,000 yuan registration fee. Fong Ping, who had been full of ambition earlier, was now listless. The starting requirements alone were enough to extinguish most of the fire in his heart, not to mention the series of requirements that followed. What a headache! Fong Ping sighed. There were not many people who were reincarnated into modern society who were still so miserable. By the time Fong Ping returned to school after lunch, he only had 15 yuan left in his pocket. The afternoon classes had not started yet. Some of the students in the class were doing questions to prepare for the Gaokao, while others were chatting. Most of them were talking about the battle between grandmasters that Zhang Hao had mentioned in the morning. Seeing that Fong Ping had returned, Chen Fan, who was doing questions, put down his pen immediately and asked, "You want to play games?" Fong Ping rolled his eyes and said, "I'm still in the mood to play games. Do you think I'm stupid? I went to look up information on the Gaokao." As he said that, Fong Ping rubbed his hands together and grinned. "Little Fan, do you have any extra money?" Chen Fan frowned slightly and said after a while, "I still have 10 yuan. Cough, cough. Don't joke around. If you have money, I'll borrow 8 or 10,000 yuan. When I get rich, I'll pay you back 100 times. Ha ha. Chen Fan put on a fake smile. He pushed his glasses up and went back to doing questions. Fong Ping must have gone crazy from being poor. Fong Ping sighed. This was a dead end. They were all students. Even if Chen Fan's family was average, who would be stupid enough to lend him 10,000 yuan? Could it be that he could only ask his parents? However, his family was average, and 10,000 yuan was not a small amount. According to his own standards, it was almost impossible for him to apply for martial sciences. If he asked, would his parents agree? Today was Saturday, so only senior 3 students were in class. The registration was supposed to be next week, but it was actually less than 2 days until the following Monday. If he had more time, he could think of a way to raise the registration fee. However, in less than 2 days, he would not be able to get 10,000 yuan, even if he used his gold finger like crazy. This was only the first step to applying for martial sciences. If he wanted to pass, he would have to continue spending money. In this society, powerhouses were built on resources and wealth. Otherwise, why would martial powerhouses run businesses and try to make their businesses bigger and stronger? Even if they did not run businesses, most of them would join the government. The powerhouses in novels and TV shows were carefree and at ease. They could level up with just a simple epiphany. They did not need to eat or drink. If it were before, Fong Ping would not have thought much of it. Now, however, Fong Ping knew that was pure nonsense. In the afternoon, he did a quick search online. There was some news online that even the weakest rank 1 martial artist would cost at least 1,000,000 yuan in resources if converted to wealth. In Fong Ping's eyes, that was the weakest and most insignificant martial artist. Just like that, he would have to spend 1,000,000 yuan. The higher a martial artist's rank, the more resources they would need. The amount spent was astronomical. Without the support of the industry, it was impossible for them to go further. If a normal family could not pass the martial sciences exam, how many families could self-study outside of university and become martial artists with the current standard of the average person's salary? The reason why everyone flocked to martial sciences universities was that the universities would provide most of the resources for the students. This was funded by the government. Even if they were lacking, the banks would open their doors to them. Once they passed the martial sciences exam, loans were not a problem, or they could sign contracts with some big companies in advance. Martial sciences students were popular, and the companies were happy to spend money to nurture some reserve students. The prerequisite for all of this was to pass the martial sciences exam. Becoming a martial artist without spending money was a fool's dream. Chapter 4. During the homeroom teacher's class in the afternoon, the homeroom teacher brought up the matter of registering for martial sciences again. Sun City No. 1 high school situation was not too bad. A few years ago, there were people who passed the martial sciences exam every year. There was an explosion last year when 5 people passed in one go. Although senior grade 3-4 was only a normal class, 2 of the 5 people who passed the Martial Sciences exam were from normal classes. Now, even the school leaders who did not have high hopes for normal classes paid more attention to the Martial Sciences exam this year. Whether they passed or not, they had to register first. If they did not register, they would have no chance at all. However, the exorbitant registration fee was the first hurdle that stopped 99% of the people who applied. The registration fee alone cost $10,000. Unless they were confident in themselves, no one would be willing to fish in troubled waters. It was a different story for those who came from wealthy families. Therefore, when the homeroom teacher brought up the matter, there were very few who responded. Only a few students in the class who had the slightest bit of hope responded. After discussing the registration, the homeroom teacher added, "For those who are applying for Martial Sciences, the school will organize a pre-exam question and answer session next Wednesday afternoon. This time, the school has spent a lot to invite NMAU's Wang Jinyang to come back and give a speech. Everyone must cherish this opportunity. For those who are applying for the Martial Sciences exam, the school will notify you when the time comes. Remember to dress neatly." The homeroom teacher reminded them for a long time, mostly to show that they valued the matter. Wang Jinyang from NMU was, in fact, only a first-year martial science student. He had entered NMU from Sun City No. 1 High School last year. However, he was only a first-year student in a martial sciences university, yet the teachers of Sun City No. 1 High School paid great attention to him. At that moment, Fong Ping once again realized the difference in status between normal people and martial artists. Beside him, Chun Fan's focus was different from Fong Ping's. He murmured subconsciously, "The school is really going all out this time. The appearance fee is at least 50 or 60,000. Fong Ping's eyebrows twitched. He could not help but say, "There's still a fee for going back to school to share some simple experiences with the juniors." Chun Fan laughed. "Of course. Do you think it's that easy to invite martial artists? Martial science students are much busier than liberal arts students. We still have winter and summer vacations, and they have to earn money and cultivate. If they don't pay, who would waste their time teaching others? Even if Senior Wang did not accept it, the school would take the initiative to give it to him. The favor would be used up sooner or later. If these martial science students gave free speeches to the school every year, it would be fine if they did it once or twice, but if they did it too many times, the favor would be used up. If I pay some appearance fees now, I'll still be able to get a good result. In the future, when these martial science seniors become successful, they'll remember the old times and remember the favor." After hearing Chun Fan's explanation, Fong Ping understood completely. Then he looked at Chun Fan curiously and said, "I didn't expect you to be so insightful." Chun Fan was only a high school student. There were some things that Fong Ping had not thought of due to the differences in his past life, but this guy was very clear about them. "This is nothing." Chun Fan let out a self-deprecating laugh, shook his head, and did not continue to speak. Fong Ping did not continue speaking. Instead, he was calculating. Martial artists had a much easier time earning money than ordinary people. A first-year student would come to school to answer questions before an exam. At most, he would only be there for 2 or 3 hours, and his appearance fee would be 50 to 60,000 yuan. Although it could not be treated as a common phenomenon, 50 to 60,000 yuan was more than what his parents could earn in a year. After the homeroom teacher's class ended, Fong Ping stayed up for a few more periods. The school bell finally rang in the afternoon. It was Saturday, so there was no self-study period at night. In reality, the Gaokao was not far away. Some students who were preparing for the Martial Sciences exam did not come to school during the self-study period at night. They could stay or leave as they pleased. The school valued martial science students more than social science students, even if only a few of them managed to get in every year. Chun Fan and a few other classmates who were familiar with each other left the school together. Everyone went their separate ways at the school gate. Fong Ping walked home, following the familiar route in his memory. As he walked, Fong Ping began to hesitate. Although there were many similarities between this world and the one in his memory, there were also many differences. Was his home still in the same place in this life? Even if his home was still there, his parents would not change. Would they? As an adult whose mental age was nearing 30, Fong Ping could not bring himself to call them his parents if they suddenly changed. They probably won't change, right? Fong Ping comforted himself uncertainly. His classmates did not change, his teachers did not change. There was no reason his parents would change. Of course, it would be best if they did not change. Even if they did, they would still be the same people. It would be good if the family environment changed. For example, if Fong Ping came home the next moment and found out that his family was the richest in Sun City, that would be the best. Or if his parents were top-notch martial arts powerhouses, that would be even better. Of course, it was just wishful thinking. Fong Ping, who could feel the malice from the whole world, did not harbor any hope. 20 minutes later, Fong Ping reached the neighborhood where his house was located. Lakeview Gardens. The name sounded good, but it was actually one of the few old neighborhoods in Sun City that had houses that were more than 30 years old. Seeing the familiar old neighborhood and the dilapidated old buildings, Fong Ping completely gave up on the idea that his family was a rich man. In his memory, Fong Ping had always harbored a grudge for many years. That was, he had never been treated as a second-generation demolisher. Lakeview Gardens had been rumored to be demolished since the beginning of the 21st century. The rumors repeated every year, but Lakeview Gardens remained Lakeview Gardens until 2018. He did not feel much homesickness. In fact, Fong Ping had only returned to Lakeview Gardens to visit his parents a few days before his rebirth. It was a good thing that his parents were younger now. There was no need for him to have too many complicated emotions. Block 6, Unit 101. Standing outside the door, Fong Ping did not knock. He fished out a key from his pocket and opened the door. Once the door was opened, a small living room greeted his eyes. As an old neighborhood that was more than 30 years old, the apartment size was not big. Most of the old houses were small. Although Fong Ping's house had 2 bedrooms and a living room, it was actually very small, only about 60 square meters. Add to that the fact that he had lived here for so many years and there were many miscellaneous items in the house. The small living room seemed even more cramped now. Although it was cramped, it was not too messy. Fong Ping's mother had cleaned the small living room very well. As an old neighborhood's first floor, it had many shortcomings. It was easy to attract pests, get damp, and had a lot of dust. Residents on other floors could often hear their footsteps when they went up the stairs. Despite the shortcomings, the only advantage was that it could fit a small courtyard. Moreover, in an old neighborhood like Lakeview Gardens, the property management had long been abandoned. The other relevant departments would not pay too much attention to the place, and the courtyard would not be torn down as illegal. The Fong family was like that. There was a door in front of the living room that led to the backyard. The family's kitchen and bathroom were built in the yard. The original kitchen and bathroom had been renovated into a small room, which was the room Fong Ping was living in now. Logically, there was no need to renovate a house with 2 bedrooms and a living room. However, Fong Ping had a younger sister who was in junior high. It would be difficult for a family of 4 to live in such a small house without a courtyard. Speak of the devil. And he appeared. Fong Ping was squatting down to change his shoes, thinking about these things, when he heard the voice of his sister, Fong Yuan, coming from the small room to the right of the living room. Fong Ping, how dare you come back? Fong Yuan's voice was a little shrill, but she was only 13 years old. No matter how shrill a young girl's voice was, it was not as piercing as an old woman's. Soon, a figure rushed out of the small room. accompanied by a sharp, angry voice. Fong Yuan was not tall, and there was still some baby fat on her face, making her face look round. Her glare was not annoying, but it made her look even more adorable. Fong Ping's hands itched when he saw Fong Yuan. He did not ask why she was angry, nor did he say anything else. Without another word, he got up and pinched the young girl's chubby cheeks, pulling them apart with a little force. Under Fong Yuan's angry glare, Fong Ping said with a look of enjoyment, "It's been a long time since I pinched you. I finally got the chance." The chubby little girl had suddenly turned into an oval face in just a few years. He did not know where the flesh on her face had gone. This was one of Fong Ping's biggest regrets. Pinching a chubby, round face was the only way to feel it. It was annoying to suddenly have an oval face. Fong Ping was satisfied, but Fong Yuan was furious. She slapped Fong Ping's hands away and said angrily, "Mom." Fong Ping pinched my face again. In the courtyard, Fong Ping's mother, Li Yueying, was busy in the kitchen. She did not even turn her head. She said with a smile, "Stop fooling around. Dinner will be ready when your dad comes back. I've made delicious food for you today." "Mom," Fong Yuan shouted indignantly. She glared at Fong Ping angrily. When her mother did not back her up, then she remembered the matter at hand and said angrily, "Fong Ping, pay me back." "What?" Still playing dumb. "Mom gave us $50. We agreed that we'd split it in half. Why is there only $5 on my table? There's still money." Fong Ping's eyes glazed over. Was that so? Did that mean that the $28 he had in his pocket today, other than the money he had for lunch, belonged to the girl? Fong Ping, who was penniless to begin with, only had $15 left in his pocket. A man could not be empty-handed, could he? Fong Ping, who had no intention of returning the money, immediately shook his head. "I don't know. Maybe you spent it yourself. You can look for it yourself." "Fong Ping, call me brother. Brother my ass. All you know is to bully little girls. Mom, why don't you scold him?" The siblings bickered for a while, but the girl gave up in the end. Her face was sullen. Fong Ping found it funny, but at the same time he felt helpless. His days were too miserable. He had bullied the girl to such an extent just for this bit of pocket money. Under Fong Yuan's skeptical gaze, Fong Ping promised her countless benefits, finally making the girl forget that her brother had just cheated her of $20. If not for his reluctance, Fong Ping felt that he could still swindle the girl out of the remaining $5. After dealing with Fong Yuan, Fong Ping went into the kitchen to greet his mother. As he walked out of the kitchen, the only thing on his mind was, heroes are no match for a penny. After a brief conversation with his mother, Fong Ping remembered that his mother only worked half a day to take care of him and Fong Yuan because he was in his senior year of high school. It was not a skilled job, and Sun City was not a wealthy area either. His mother only earned $800 a month after working half a day. In a year, she would only earn $10,000. He had wanted to mention applying for martial sciences, but when he thought about it, he could not bring himself to say it. Chapter 5. No matter how difficult it was to speak, for the sake of the future, he still had to speak. After all, he had to register next Monday. Fong Ping was not a god. There was only one day left. Where was he going to get $10,000? When his father, Fong Mingrong, dragged his tired body home and the whole family sat down for dinner, Fong Ping finally spoke. "Dad, I want to register for the martial sciences next week. The registration fee is $10,000. As soon as Fong Ping finished speaking, the entire house fell silent. Fong Mingrong was in his early 40s this year. He didn't look old, but he was a little pale. Fong Mingrong worked in a ceramic factory on the outskirts of Sun City. He was just an ordinary worker, not a skilled worker. In Sun City, where the average wage for a normal worker was around 2,000 yuan, Fong Mingrong's monthly wage was more than 3,000 yuan. It wasn't because the boss appreciated him, nor was it because Fong Mingrong did a good job. Most importantly, it was easy to get silicosis after working in the ceramics factory for a long time, so the salary was higher. It was almost like exchanging health for money, but Fong Mingrong had no choice but to do it. There were 2 children at home. One was in high school, and the other was in junior high. Clothing, food, housing, and transportation were all expensive. They still had to save money for Fong Ping's university tuition and consider whether he would get married and buy a house after graduation. The whole family was living a tight life. After deducting their daily expenses, it would take them almost half a year to save 10,000 yuan. In today's society, martial arts reigned supreme. Although Fong Mingrong was a commoner, he understood that the martial sciences exam was as difficult as ascending to heaven. In the vast Sun City, tens of thousands of students participated in the Gaokao every year. Among them, those who passed the martial sciences exam could be counted on 2 hands. Sun City No. 1 High School was considered the best high school in Sun City. Even so, only 5 students from Sun City No. 1 High School had passed the martial sciences exam last year. There were close to 1,500 Year 3 students in Sun City No. 1 High School, and there were more than 20 normal classes. In the year 2007, out of the 20 or so normal classes, only 2 people passed the martial sciences exam. Fong Mingrong, who had attended a few parent-teacher conferences, was no stranger to such news. In fact, the teachers of No. 1 High School even took the initiative to spread the news. Being able to produce 2 martial science students from a normal class was not a shortcoming. Instead, it was an advantage, something that the teachers of No. 1 High School should be proud of. Now, was it worth it to spend $10,000 for an illusory opportunity? Fong Mingrong was not in a hurry to speak. Li Yuan wanted to say something, but hesitated. Fong Yuan lowered her head, not daring to speak. Compared to Fong Ping, who had only just learned about the general knowledge, Fong Yuan, who was already in middle school, knew more than Fong Ping. Fong Mingrong held a small glass of wine and looked at his son. After a while, he nodded and said, "I'll get your mom to give you the bank card later. You can withdraw the 10,000 yuan yourself tomorrow." "Dad." Fong Ping gritted his teeth, wanting to say a few words to comfort his father. Unexpectedly, Fong Mingrong interrupted, "Whether you pass or not, it's enough that you have the heart. Even if she couldn't get in, at least she could gain some experience. In the future, when Yuan goes to high school, she could still give her some pointers. Although our family isn't rich, this is a lifetime event." Although Fong Ping did not hold out much hope, registering for the martial sciences examinations would determine whether or not he could make the leap in life. If Fong Ping did not bring it up, Fong Mingrong would not bring it up either. However, his son had mentioned it. At most, he would just have to work overtime. 10,000 yuan was not enough to drag down the Fong family. Since his father had said so, Fong Ping did not say anything else. At this time, it was useless to say any more heroic words. Moreover, Fong Ping was not confident that he could actually pass. He had been reborn, yes, but he had not returned from cultivation. Even if he did not know the specific subjects of the martial sciences examinations, he knew that it would definitely be related to his physical fitness. In reality, Fong Ping understood that there were more requirements than that. Right now, Fong Ping had no confidence that he could pass the martial sciences examinations. Even if he did not pass, it would not be difficult to earn a lot of money in the future, but it would not be difficult for him to earn a small amount. It was not impossible for him to become a martial artist. Therefore, Fong Ping felt that even if he could not reach the highest point in the future, he would not be like he was now, cheating his sister for 20 yuan of pocket money. After getting rid of the biggest obstacle, Fong Ping felt a lot more at ease. Fong Yuan was the family's clown. Seeing that everyone was still immersed in the topic, she smiled and changed the topic. "Fong Ping, are you really going to take the martial sciences examinations?" Fong Ping smiled. "Of course. When I, your brother, pass the martial sciences examinations and become a martial artist, you'll be rich. Next semester, when you go to school, you can brag to your classmates that my brother is a martial artist. I can guarantee that when that happens, you'll be the school bully in your school. No one will dare to call you round face anymore. Fong Ping. Fong Yuan was exasperated again. The little girl's face was round, and her name had the word round in it. She had only been in junior high for a few days, and the naughty boys had already given her the nickname, Round Face. Because of this, the little girl was ready to duel with the boys. Fong Ping had touched a sore spot. In her anger, Fong Yuan could not care less about saving her brother's face. She said angrily, "You'll definitely fail the examinations. Instead of wasting so much money, you might as well buy something nice to eat." Yuan Yuan! Fong Mingrong and his wife yelled at her at the same time. Fong Yuan came to her senses immediately. She lowered her head and mumbled, "I'm just saying. Maybe I'll pass." Fong Ping laughed and made a pinching gesture at Fong Yuan. Fong Yuan was so angry that she rolled her eyes. After dinner, Li Yueying gave Fong Ping the family's bank card. She had to work tomorrow, and Fong Ping was no longer a child. It was not a problem for him to withdraw the money. In the past, when the family needed money, they would sometimes ask Fong Ping to withdraw it. Fong Ping took the bank card and felt a little emotional. He murmured, "Mom and Dad are so relaxed. Aren't they worried that I'll take everything?" There was more than 10,000 yuan in the card. In the past, Fong Ping would not have touched it. Now, however, Fong Ping shook his head. He should just let it go. If he needed it, he could just tell his parents. If he took it without asking, it would be no different from stealing. The night passed uneventfully. The next day, the 6th of April, Fong Ping woke up early, but his parents had woken up even earlier than him. They had already left for work. After washing up, he saw that the breakfast his mother had prepared in the morning was still on the dining table. There were a few side dishes and a bowl of golden scrambled eggs. Fong Ping, who was used to buying breakfast on his way to work, ate it leisurely while sitting on a chair. The feeling was quite enjoyable. If the current him was simply returning to the past, Fong Ping would not be in a hurry. What was the Gaokao? Even if he did not take the Gaokao, with his years of experience in society, he would be able to see some opportunities and rise to the top. It was different now, though. If he did not seize the opportunity of the martial sciences exam, it was hard to say if he would ever get another chance like this in the future. Moreover, as long as he did not become a martial artist, he would have to be cautious when doing business. Fong Ping knew his priorities. Right now, the Gaokao was the most important, especially the martial sciences exam. Everything else had to be pushed to the back. Unless he failed this time, Fong Ping would consider other avenues. After sorting out his priorities, Fong Ping finished his breakfast and prepared to go out to withdraw money. He would also observe the situation and understand the differences in society. He was about to leave when Fong Yuan, who was already dressed, ran out of the room. She said hurriedly, "Fong Ping, I'm going to—" "What are you going to do?" "I don't care. I'm going anyway. You have to buy good food for me. Who asked you to use my pocket money?" Fong Ping could not help but laugh. He did not reject her. He was only going to withdraw money. It was not a private matter. With this girl there, he might be able to avoid some trouble. After all, Fong Ping did not know if there were other things in this world that he did not understand. It was still early when he left, so Fong Ping was not in a hurry to go to the bank. He walked side by side with Fong Yuan on the street. Fong Yuan did not need to care about him. She looked around happily, curious about everything she saw. It was as if she was the one who had been reborn. The streets outside the residential area were not too different from what he remembered. Fong Ping would have a much easier time if there were not those annoying advertisements. Moisturizing skincare. Even grandmasters say it's great after using it. Special steps. Faster than martial artists. Secret family recipe. You'll become a martial artist as soon as you eat it. Almost all of them had something to do with martial artists. In reality, after all these years, out of the hundreds of thousands of people in Sun City, there were probably no more than 20 martial artists who stayed in the city. Martial artists were actually very far away from the people of Sun City. This did not stop people from discussing, paying attention to, and advertising. It was not like they were targeting anyone. In this era, martial powerhouses were the real superstars. Of course, superstars were usually martial powerhouses as well. Fong Ping took a look along the road. He ignored the unsightly advertisements and bought a few skewers for Fong Yuan along the way. They claimed that even martial artists would say it tasted good after eating it. Fong Ping only had a 10 yuan bill left in his pocket. The little girl was so happy that she did not notice that Fong Ping was actually spending her pocket money. After making a round, Fong Ping led Fong Yuan to the ATM machine not far away. They inserted the card, keyed in the password, and withdrew money. Fong Yuan kept a lookout for Fong Ping as he keyed in the password. She looked around, afraid that someone might come over to peek. The ATM machine could only withdraw 2,000 yuan at a time. When the ATM machine spat out the first stack of cash, Fong Ping suddenly froze as he held it in his hand. In his daze, Fong Ping did not proceed with the operation. Fong Yuan, who had been keeping a lookout, said hurriedly, "Fong Ping, is there fake money? I saw on the news that bank ATMs have fake money too, but the bank won't admit it." The little girl was panicking now. Her mouth could not stop chattering, and she even said angrily, "We have to change it back. Let's go to the bank." Fong Ping did not pay much attention to what she was saying. He frowned slightly. After some thought, he continued operating the machine and withdrew the second stack of cash. Soon, the second stack of 2,000 yuan was spat out from the machine. Fong Ping quickly took the money. What happened next was the same as the first time. Fong Ping held the money and did not move for a long time. Fong Yuan, who was standing beside him, was also puzzled. She asked curiously, "Fong Ping, are you stupid? Is it a fake banknote? Say something." "Hey, Fong Ping, what are you doing?" "Fong Ping, are you only interested in money?" The little girl did not stop talking. Fong Ping, who was beside her, turned his head to look at her. He suddenly handed the stack of cash to her. "Take it." Fong Yuan's round face was full of confusion, but she still took the stack of cash and looked at Fong Ping. Fong Ping asked, "How do you feel?" Fong Yuan said, "Can we not register for martial sciences? Can we buy good food?" Fong Ping burst out laughing. He said quickly, "So, you're saying that you don't feel anything?" Fong Yuan felt the urge to go berserk. She glared at him with her big round eyes and said angrily, "You're bullying me again." "No, I'm really not feeling anything this time." Fong Ping could not hide the smile on his face. He said immediately, "I was just teasing you. All right, I'm going to continue withdrawing money. Let's go home after that." Fong Yuan watched as her big brother started withdrawing money like a fool. She called him a fool because Fong Ping's way of withdrawing money was way too flashy. One time, he withdrew 100 yuan. The next, he withdrew 200 yuan. It was never the same. Fong Ping withdrew 10,000 yuan, more than 10 times in total. That was not all. After withdrawing 10,000 yuan, there was still a balance in the card. So Fong Ping continued withdrawing money. Just when Fong Yuan thought that he was going to fill his own pockets, she saw a blinding scene. Fong Ping withdrew money, deposited it in the card, withdrew it, and deposited it in the card again. Fong Yuan was completely dumbfounded by his repeated actions. Fong Ping was not the only one. There were actually other people behind them waiting to withdraw money. Fong Ping had been hogging the ATM machine for more than half an hour. Seeing that he was going to continue, someone behind him finally lost it and said, "Young man, that's enough. Withdrawing and depositing 1,000,000 yuan. That should be enough." Fong Yuan was still young, so she was not thick-skinned enough. On top of that, She felt that she was in the wrong. Her face flushed red instantly, and she tugged at Fong Ping's arm with all her might. Fong Ping was almost done with his experiments. He deposited the extra money in the card unhurriedly, pulled out his card, and walked out. When he was out of the ATM machine's range, Fong Ping was suddenly beaming with joy. He could not stop laughing, as if no one was around. Fong Yuan, who was standing beside him, felt her hair stand on end. Had Fong Ping been provoked? Fong Ping, don't scare me, sob. Fong Ping, what's wrong with you? Cough. Nothing. Let's go home. Chapter 6. Lakeview Gardens. Block 6, Room 101. As soon as Fong Ping got home, he locked himself in his own little room. Fong Yuan knocked on the door a few times, but Fong Ping refused to let her in. She was so angry that she wanted to break down the door and enter. Fong Ping was not in the mood to care if Fong Yuan was angry or not. He would have found a place to study it if he had not been confused when he withdrew the money. Inside the little room, Fong Ping placed the 10,000 bucks he had withdrawn on his left. On his right was a $10 bill. This was also his total wealth. Fong Ping's expression had returned to normal, but he still looked confused. Just as he was withdrawing money from the ATM machine and holding the 2,000 bucks in his hand, his vision blurred. Something appeared in front of him, just like when he had a flying bug. That was why Fong Ping had been in a daze. Unlike the blur caused by floaters, a few lines of clear words suddenly appeared in his line of sight. Fong Ping still remembered that 3 lines of small words had appeared at that time. Wealth, 2,000 vitality, 1 mentality. 1, it was a few simple lines and a few words that were easy to understand. The first thing Fong Ping thought of was the system. Fong Ping was no stranger to these things. He had seen them before, even though he had not experienced them before. However, Fong Ping realized that the things that appeared in front of him were too simple and crude. There were only a few lines of words without any explanation or description. Did the system not give out manuals these days? Or could it be that this thing was a low-quality product produced on an assembly line? It had appeared so suddenly that Fong Ping was not prepared for it. If this thing had appeared the moment he woke up in the classroom yesterday, Fong Ping would have been able to accept it calmly without any doubts. However, it had already been a day. Why did it suddenly appear? Fong Ping had a rough idea of what was going on when he thought about the 2,000 wealth. To confirm if the number had anything to do with money, Fong Ping did some experiments on the spot. The results were just as he had expected. As he withdrew the money, the wealth value in front of him kept increasing. Now, Fong Ping finally understood what wealth represented. Even after many experiments, Fong Ping still could not understand some things. For example, the first point was that he had 28 yuan with him yesterday, and now he had 10 yuan left. But why didn't this happen yesterday? After thinking about it for a long time, and considering the fact that he still had 10 bucks that had not been added to his wealth, Fong Ping understood a little better. To put it simply, he was too poor. According to his definition, the system might be a rich master. If it was less than 100 yuan, it wouldn't do any statistics. If it was a reincarnated person with a net worth of more than 100 yuan, they would have noticed it yesterday. But Fong Ping was poor. If it were not for the fact that he needed to withdraw money to register for the martial sciences exam, it was unlikely that his parents would give him 100 bucks in one go, given his current situation. Otherwise, Fong Ping might not have discovered this thing for a long time. Yesterday, Fong Ping was still complaining that the heavens were blind, causing him, a reincarnated person, to have such a miserable life. Now, it seemed that he had wronged the heavens. The key was that he was poor. Poverty is indeed the original sin. Fong Ping sighed with emotion after he understood the gist of it. Even God looked down on the poor these days. Had he considered his own feelings? If he didn't have a chance to get 100 yuan. Wouldn't it be a waste of the system? Of course, the possibility of this was not high. This was the first point of doubt. Secondly, as Fong Ping withdrew money, he noticed something different. When his wealth increased to 10,000, Fong Ping withdrew some more money from his card, but his wealth did not increase. He tried many times, but his wealth remained at 10,000. It had not budged since. There were only a few lines of words, and no voice suddenly appeared in his head to explain it to him. There was no manual either. So Fong Ping could only make some judgments on his own. According to Fong Ping's understanding, the 10,000 yuan he withdrew today was his parents' for his registration, so it should be considered his own money. The money he withdrew later was his parents' money. The statistics of his wealth was most likely his own. Otherwise, Fong Ping had thought that if touching money could be counted as wealth, he would not have to do anything else in the future. He might as well work in a bank and find a job where he could handle cash. Even if he did not work in a bank, there were many professions in society that dealt with money. Some of them did not have high standards, so he could increase his wealth through these jobs, even if he was not sure what the effects of increasing his wealth would be. It did not matter if he was not sure. Fong Ping knew that it was not a bad thing. Wealth. It's counting my own wealth, although it's a little too intelligent and doesn't quite fit with this simple system. I'll just accept it. Fong Ping mumbled to himself. Then he frowned slightly and murmured, "Is it just money, or does it include things of equal value, like gold and jewelry?" When he had little money, it was okay to count cash, but when he had a lot of money, it could not be all cash. Also, did he have to touch his wealth personally every time he increased it? In today's society, there were stocks and virtual currencies. These were intangible assets. He could not touch them even if he wanted to, right? Fong Ping felt that it was a pity because of the limitations of poverty. He could not make a judgment at all. If he had some gold and jewelry that belonged to him or valuable stocks, he could experiment. He could only wait until his conditions allowed him to experiment. As expected, poverty has limited my imagination. Fong Ping felt slightly regretful, but he was not in a hurry to prove these things. It would happen sooner or later. Other than these two doubts that he had already made his judgment, Fong Ping also considered another thing. That was the calculation of wealth. Would it calculate net assets or add liabilities? It sounded a little out of place, but it would affect what Fong Ping might do in the future. This time, the 10,000 was given to him by his parents. It could be considered a gift, and he would not take it back. After all, he did not earn it himself. If his own money was counted, would it be considered his own money if he borrowed it? Also, after paying the registration fee of 10,000 yuan, would his wealth be deducted? It was inevitable that he would spend money when he had it. If he spent money, his wealth would be deducted. If Fong Ping wanted to accumulate a large amount of wealth, he would have to be a miser. Due to the conditions, Fong Ping could not get an accurate answer for the above questions at the moment. He could only leave it for later. What Fong Ping needed to focus on were vitality and mentality. In fact, Fong Ping had already guessed some things. He had seen the terms vitality and mentality more than once or twice yesterday when he went online. Although there were not many modern martial artists, they were not too few either. Moreover, with the advancement of information, there would always be some information circulating on the internet. Even the general public had some understanding that vitality and mentality were the foundation of martial artists. Low-ranked martial artists rarely talked about mentality and did not pay much attention to it. On the other hand, some comments on the internet believed that the main difference between high-ranked martial artists, especially grandmaster-level powerhouses, and low-ranked martial artists was in mentality. However, this was a little far from Fong Ping. For low-ranked martial artists, their main focus was on vitality. With enough vitality, all diseases would be cured. Even in Fong Ping's past life, vitality was often used. Traditional Chinese medicine nourished vitality. People with enough vitality would be healthier than others. Some highly nutritious items also replenished vitality. For martial artists, or those who were preparing to become martial artists, those with enough vitality might not necessarily be martial artists, but martial artists must have enough vitality. Practicing martial arts was not like meditating. It was very different from Taoism. Martial artists were actually ordinary people who trained to the extreme, breaking through the limits of ordinary people's bodies. This was the origin of martial artists. With enough vitality to support a healthy body, it was the foundation of a strong body. In other words, increasing my vitality will make it easier for me to become a martial artist. After becoming a martial artist, it'll be easier for me to adapt to the upcoming training and break through step by step, Fong Ping mumbled to himself, and answered his own question. Since wealth has appeared and vitality and mentality have been quantified, does that mean I can use wealth to convert them? What's the ratio of conversion? 1 to 1. Fong Ping had never thought about it. Right now, his vitality and mentality were both at 1. If the conversion was 1 to 1, would it not mean that 1 yuan could double his vitality compared to ordinary people? Fong Ping would never believe that it was so easy. How do I convert them? Then, Fong Ping said helplessly, at least give me an instruction manual. It's too troublesome to figure it out myself. Right now, as long as Fong Ping focused, he could see the lines of numbers in his line of sight. After staring at the numbers for a while, Fong Ping asked tentatively, System, add some vitality to me? There was no response. Sir System, should I exchange wealth for vitality? God, sir, are you alive? Say something? Open sesame? Little bunny, be good. 3 pure ones above. Namo Amitabha. God bless. F*CKU. After trying for a while, the 3 lines of numbers did not budge. Fong Ping gave up completely. It seemed like it had nothing to do with this. After thinking for a while, Fong Ping stared at the lines of numbers again, trying to see if there was a plus behind the numbers that he had overlooked. Unfortunately, there was none. Fong Ping was having a headache. He did not know how to use it at all. Was it broken? Was this thing reliable or not? He grumbled in his heart. It would have been great if you could have done it in one go. Now you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Have you ever considered my feelings? Add some vitality. If not, I'll beat you to death. Fong Ping stared at the lines of words in his vision and said casually, unexpectedly, the numbers in front of him changed abruptly. Wealth, 0 vitality, 1. 1 mentality, 1. F*CK. Fong Ping was dumbfounded. There was such a thing. Did he have to threaten it to work? While he was dumbfounded, Fong Ping's body twisted uncomfortably. But soon, the uneasiness disappeared. Fong Ping let out a long breath. He suddenly felt much more relaxed. If he had to describe the feeling, it would be like an asthma patient suddenly did not have asthma anymore, or someone who was anemic was no longer anemic. To exaggerate it, it would be like Earth's gravity was slightly weaker than before, even though it was a very vague feeling. Feels good. It was only an increase of 0. 1 vitality, but Fong Ping felt more comfortable than using a big treasure sword. However, this feeling of comfort was the same as when a man was done. It did not last long, and it faded quickly. Although it had faded, Fong Ping could still vaguely feel that his body was healthier than before. He was the one who understood himself the best. He would definitely be able to feel the sudden changes in his body. However, seeing that his wealth had turned to 0, Fong Ping frowned immediately. He knew that the conversion ratio was not high, but 100,000. 1 was too much of a scam. 10,000 wealth had been exchanged for a 0. 1 vitality increase. He had not become Superman. At most, he had slightly more vitality than a normal person. If he wanted to reach the standard of a martial artist's vitality, how much wealth would he need? At this thought, Fong Ping looked at the desk abruptly. When he saw that the red notes were still there, Fong Ping let out a sigh of relief. Thank goodness! Thank goodness! The worst-case scenario had not happened. If his wealth had been used up and his money had disappeared, he would not be able to explain himself to his parents. Reaching out to hold the money on the desk, Fong Ping fell into deep thought again. It looked like he would have to work hard to earn more money. It was obvious that the easiest way to pass the martial sciences exam and become a martial artist was to convert his wealth into vitality. Even if he passed the martial sciences exam and wanted to become a powerful martial artist, he would still need to spend a lot of money to buy resources. In other words, everything depended on money. Chapter 7. Fong Ping's mind was filled with thoughts of making money, but reality soon crushed him. When he walked out of the room, Fong Yuan was already waiting for him outside. The moment she saw Fong Ping, she said bitterly, "I'm hungry. You want to eat?" Fong Ping said it matter-of-factly. Fong Yuan pouted and said angrily, "I don't have money. There's no leftovers at home. Mom gave me $50 the day before yesterday. That's our lunch money for the next 3 days. The money is all with you now. Where are we going to eat? You need money to eat?" Fong Ping seemed to have suffered a heavy blow. He said dryly, "You didn't mention this in the morning? The girl had been eating so happily when he bought the skewers for her. If it were not for the fact that Fong Ping was reluctant to part with it, the girl would have spent the remaining $10. Only now did Fong Ping realize that today's lunch money was included in their relationship. Most importantly, he only had $10 on him now. The girl was not using her own $5. Was she planning to eat him clean? The truth was as he expected. Fong Yuan said matter-of-factly, "Of course I need money to eat. You've taken all my money, so I don't have to worry about food." "Fong Ping, I'm hungry. It's almost 1 a.m. I want to eat." "Ha! Fong Ping, I'm so hungry. I can't even walk." Fong Yuan rubbed her belly and continued to act pitiful. Fong Ping did not know whether to laugh or cry. He reached out to pinch her chubby cheeks and said helplessly, "Eat. Let's go eat. I thought I really used your pocket money, but it's all for food. I forgot about it myself, but you remember it clearly. You little brat. How can you trick your brother like this? The conditions from before are now invalid." "No." Fong Yuan shook her head hurriedly. Her face was full of reluctance. After a while, she took out her $5 from her pocket and said reluctantly, "Here. You said you would buy me good food, clothes, and a computer. You have to keep your word." Despite her bickering with Fong Ping, Fong Yuan was actually very close to her brother, since Fong Ping said he would buy her good food and nice clothes in the future. The girl still hoped that Fong Ping could do it after he graduated from university, even though it was impossible now. For the sake of their future, Fong Yuan decided to contribute her total assets. She had eaten Fong Ping's $5 skewers in the morning anyway. Fong Ping was amused and helpless at the girl's abacus. Without any money on him, he really had no confidence. Otherwise, why would he argue with this girl over a few dollars? After dinner, Fong Ping was completely broke. If he did not use the $10,000 he had on him to pay for school fees, he could still be considered a millionaire. Fortunately, the siblings had fast food that cost 5 yuan each for lunch, so 10 yuan was just enough. Fong Ping did not have the heart to touch the girl's $5. She was already a middle school student, so he could not leave her with no allowance. Without money, the siblings were not in the mood to go out in the afternoon. Realistically speaking, if Fong Ping did not bring the $10,000 with him, he would not even be able to enter a paid toilet if he needed to pee on the way. Fong Yuan still had homework to do. She knew that her brother was extremely poor, so she did not continue to scam him. She obediently returned to her room to do her homework. Fong Ping, on the other hand, entered his room and started planning for the future. Currently, there were only 2 things on Fong Ping's mind. The first was to prepare for the martial sciences exams, and the second was to earn money. Improving his family's living conditions was actually secondary. There was no need to worry about it for now. The key was that without money, he might not be able to pass the martial sciences exams. Although he had that unreliable system, Fong Ping felt that he could still become a martial artist in the future even if he did not enter a martial sciences university. The problem was, did martial artists have to have strong vitality? What about cultivation methods? How could he train his body and break through his limits? Fong Ping knew nothing about these things. Without professional training, who knew when he would be able to learn these things? The Gaokao was obviously the fastest shortcut. Naturally, he still had to plan for these things. His mother, Li Yueying, came home after 3 in the afternoon. She had even bought some food for dinner. Although it was a half-day shift, the actual working hours were close to 8 hours. It was not as easy as outsiders thought. Fong Ping handed over his bank card and showed her the 10,000 bucks. Li Yueying did not take it back, asking Fong Ping to bring it to the registration office the next day. Li Yueying probably knew that her son and daughter were out of money, so she gave Fong Ping another 50 bucks for the meal. Perhaps she was worried that her daughter would be tricked by her son again. So this time, Li Yueying gave Fong Yuan 20 bucks. The girl was so happy when she received the money. Fong Ping wanted to tell his mother that he was not the one who tricked the girl. That girl was cunning and was trying to trick her brother. Monday, April 7th, compared to his dazed self the day before, Fong Ping was much more composed when he returned to school today. His desk mate, Chun Fan, had arrived earlier than Fong Ping. When Fong Ping arrived, Chun Fan's papers were already half done. Fong Ping did not know if he had done them in the morning or in advance. Chun Fan did not apply for martial sciences, so naturally, he focused on social sciences. If he could not get into martial sciences, he could get into a good social sciences university. Even if he graduated, he would be much more popular than the social sciences students from normal universities. Seeing that Fong Ping had arrived, Chun Fan put down his pen and looked up. Fong Ping, have you finished the set of math papers that the teacher gave out the day before? Let's compare the answers. Huh? Fong Ping laughed dryly. Who knew if he had done it well? The papers had been given out the day before, and he had not touched his bag for the past 2 days. Who knew if he had done it before? Chun Fan could guess what was going on. He frowned and said, Fong Ping, there's not much time left before the Gaokao. Although we don't have many classes right now, and we're mostly revising, who knows if we can do a few more questions? Yes. Little Fan is right. I've been feeling a little dizzy these days. I'll do them later. Chun Fan felt a little helpless. It was not because of how Fong Ping had addressed him. It was not the first time this guy had called him that. He only felt that Fong Ping was giving up on himself. In this society, although the status of martial artists was higher than that of ordinary people were divided into different classes. There were those who had money, those who did not, those who had some power, those who worked for others, those who worked in big companies, those who worked in factories. These were all different kinds of treatment. Number 1 high school was the best high school in Sun City. Fong Ping's grades were not the best in year 3-4, but they were not bad either. If he worked hard, there was still hope for him to get into a top university. If he was lucky, after the best student applied for martial sciences, he might even get into a top university. If he gave up now, he would not even get into a top university, let alone a top university. Chun Fan and Fong Ping had been desk mates for 2 years. He knew that Fong Ping's family was similar to his own. Fong Ping's family was even worse off than his own. After all, the cost of raising 2 children was much higher than his family's. He wanted to say a few more words, but he swallowed them. After all, Fong Ping had only been a little lazy these 2 days. As the two of them spoke, the future bearded Yang Jian, who was sitting in the front row, turned around and said with a smile, Fong Ping, Chun Fan, have you seen the news? Fong Ping rolled his eyes. You're a bearded, brawny man. How can you be so nosy? Chun Fan was too lazy to respond. If he had the time, he would write a few more questions. Who had the time to watch the news? Yang Jian did not care about their answers. He chuckled and said, "There's news on the internet again. The duel between Grandmaster Ma and Tem is scheduled for the end of this month. It's also revealed that the location is in Sino Nation. Many reporters are going there now. Who knows, there might even be a video." Yang Jian's spittle flew everywhere as he spoke. A duel between rank 8 grandmasters was extremely rare, even in the world. There might have been duels in the past, but they were either too young and did not remember it well, or they fought in secret. Bystanders could only know the results, not the process. It was different this time. Perhaps it had something to do with the development of the internet. News spread too fast, and everyone received the news in advance. With the help of the internet, they might even be able to watch the duel through a video. After gossiping about Brother Ma's duel, Yang Jian quickly changed the topic and talked about himself. The martial sciences registration starts today. My dad said that I'll sign up no matter how much money I have. Our Yang family is counting on me to pass the martial sciences exam and become a martial artist. Sigh, the pressure is too much. If I don't pass, what do you think I'll do? Fong Ping said, amused. I say, "Are you showing off, or are you showing off?" Yang Jian smiled sheepishly and shook his head hurriedly. "I'm not showing off. It's really too much pressure. It's not like you don't know my situation. Out of the 5 barriers in martial sciences, it'd be good enough if I can pass 3. The rest are too risky." 5 barriers in martial sciences? Initially, Fong Ping was not too interested in the topic of Yang Jian. Chapter 8. Although Fong Ping had gone to the internet cafe to look up some information the day before, he had limited time. Of course, the main reason was the limited internet fees. There were some things he did not look up clearly, such as the martial sciences exams. The internet did not explain it clearly either. Without a smartphone and a computer at home, it was extremely difficult for Fong Ping to understand things without going to the internet cafe. Some questions were not something he should ask. After all, to many people, these were common sense questions. Looks like I should buy a computer, Fong Ping thought, subconsciously ignoring the fact that computers cost money too. Although he was not sure, Yang Jian, who was determined to pass the martial sciences exams, would definitely know. As soon as Yang Jian finished speaking, Fong Ping said casually, "I remember that the martial sciences exams last year weren't too difficult. Can't you pass all 4 rounds with your qualifications? Or has the policy changed again this year?" His words were vague. It was normal for the college entrance exam policies to change every year anyway. Fong Ping was not afraid of Yang Jian overthinking it. If he flattered the kid, he might even get more information out of him. As expected, Yang Jian did not take Fong Ping's ignorance to heart. The smile on his face grew wider. It was rare that Fong Ping was willing to talk about the martial sciences exams. Yang Jian was eager to talk more. Chun Fan, for example, was not interested. Before Fong Ping came, he would have said nothing. Seeing that Fong Ping was interested, Yang Jian smiled widely. "You've really overestimated me. Also, which year's martial sciences exams aren't difficult. There are some policy changes this year, though I'm not too sure how the exams will be conducted. When Senior Sky King comes, he'll explain. I've done some research and asked the teachers. There are still some differences compared to last year." Seeing that Yang Jian did not continue, Fong Ping knew that the future bearded man was keeping him in suspense. He did not ask any more. These youngsters with Yang Jian's big mouth would not be able to hold it in if he did not ask. As expected, seeing that Fong Ping did not continue, Yang Jian was not satisfied. He continued, "Let's talk about the first round, the political background check." Fong Ping's eyebrows twitched. Yang Jian continued, "In the past, the political background check was to check if 3 generations of immediate family members had any criminal records. This year, the requirements have been relaxed. We only check parents, siblings, and other relatives of 2 generations. However, this has little to do with us. Unless our grandfathers had a criminal record, the first round of the martial sciences exams was the political background check. This was also human nature. After all, martial artists were not ordinary people. Their destructive power was much greater than that of ordinary people. The government invested a lot into martial sciences in universities. Large amounts of resources were spent to cultivate martial artists, but it was not to let them break the law and commit crimes. Although no one said that if the parents were bad, the children must be bad. But in a situation where there were conditions to choose people, it was naturally better to be stricter. It was useless even if you were unwilling. Although the background check has been relaxed, it's not an advantage for us. Instead, it's a disadvantage. After all, there are more people who can apply. However, there are some changes in the second stage, and we have an advantage. Yang Jian said, the second round is the physical assessment. The key was not the change in the physical examination items, but the age. In the past, the upper limit was 22 years old, but this year the policy has changed and the upper limit has been changed to 20 years old. Let's see how those bastards can continue to repeat a year. Age, Yang Jian students. Age, up, younger. Was not up, younger than younger. Martial artists, as they were Yang Jian. Was not, as up, Yang at. He ping. That was the main reason why the country set up a martial sciences department in universities. After years of ideological education, students would have matured. Their bodies would have matured too. Practicing martial arts at this age would yield twice the result with half the effort. There would not be many martial artists who would have problems in the later years. In the past, it was normal for some students to repeat the exam after failing. They had more experience than others. After one exam, they would know where they were lacking and could make up for it according to the situation. Repeaters took up a portion of the martial sciences exam every year. In the past, the age limit was set at 22. Some of them had to repeat for a few years. This year, it was cut to 20. Many repeaters would have their hopes dashed. After all, it was normal for Senior 3 students to be 18 to 20 years old. Some of them might be over 20 after repeating for a year. Fong Ping did not have to worry about that. He was only 18 years old anyway. He could repeat for another 2 years. After some thought, Fong Ping asked, "Is there any reaction from the repeaters?" Yang Jian said happily, "Of course not. I heard it was a mess a few days ago. What's the point? It's your fault for not being able to pass the exam in the beginning. You're already in your early 20s. Even if you pass, you'll be a burden. There's no point in protesting. After all, there are more freshmen taking the martial sciences exam. Everyone wants them not to take the exam. There's no such restriction for social sciences, though. They can take the social sciences exam." Fong Ping understood and changed the topic. "Is there a big difference between the physical assessment for martial sciences and social sciences?" Yang Jian scratched his head and could not help but glance at him. Chun Fan, who had been silent all this while, was speechless. "Nonsense. How can there not be a big difference? Fong Ping, did you sleep too much? I've heard a lot about the martial sciences physical assessment. Do you think the 10,000 yuan registration fee is for nothing? The martial sciences physical assessment required in-depth examinations, including whether there were any injuries or abnormalities in the bones. Those with poor eyesight, bone injuries, or external injuries are not accepted. Also, the most important thing is to check on their vitality. If their vitality is insufficient, their body will be weak. No matter how good the other conditions are, it will be useless. Some people are born with weak bodies that cannot be replenished no matter how much they try. They will never be able to become a martial artist. Those who eat poorly at home usually do not meet the vitality standards. That's why the admission rate in big cities is higher than in small cities. Small cities are also higher than towns and villages. The poorer the place, the fewer martial artists there are. After all, even if you're not that different from the others, there's a quota every year for the martial sciences exam. Only the best of the best will be selected. Fong Ping nodded. He thought about it and realized that he should not have too many problems. After all, his vitality had increased a lot, so he should be stronger than the average person. If it was the Fong Ping of the past, he might not have been able to do it. After all, everyone was just a normal person, and there was nothing special about him. However, it was hard to say if his vitality of one could meet the standards. It seemed like it would be better to increase it a little before the physical assessment. Fong Ping was also slightly curious. From Chun Fan's tone, there should be a professional vitality examination now. In Fong Ping's memory, insufficient vitality was actually a Chinese medical term. There were no professional machines to examine it, so the answer could only be obtained through Chinese medical observation, listening, questioning, and feeling the pulse. In a large-scale examination like the college entrance examination, it was unlikely to be done through Chinese medicine. It was more likely that there was a complete set of procedures, including professional medical equipment. While Fong Ping was thinking, Yang Jian said, "Other than these 2 points, there aren't many other changes." After passing the background check and physical assessment, a batch of people will be eliminated. The remaining people will participate in the third stage, the practical test. After that, it's the cultural studies and general studies that are the hardest. Cough, cough, cough. Fong Ping remembered reading about the cultural studies on the internet the day before. He did not pay much attention to it at the time, but now he could not help asking, "The cultural studies are nothing, right? Aren't you confident?" According to Fong Ping's thinking, this was similar to the arts examination in his past life. As long as the other requirements were met, the cultural studies should be easy to pass. With a little bit of effort, 90% of the people in number 1 high school could pass. However, as soon as he said that, Yang Jian smiled bitterly and said, "Fong Ping, if it were you, you might have a chance, but it'll be difficult for me." The minimum admission score for martial sciences last year was 10 points higher than the key social sciences score. With my results, I might not be able to pass. Martial artists are adept with both the pen and the sword. They're not simple bores. It's normal for them to be slightly higher than the key social sciences score. Otherwise, if all martial artists were bores, they wouldn't have the chance to become the higher-ups. It was Chun Fan who said it calmly and matter-of-factly, being adept with both the pen and the sword. That was a martial artist. Martial artists were known as the elites of society, simple bores who could govern a country and manage a business. Fairy tales were all lies. On television, a random illiterate could become a powerhouse after picking up a secret manual. What nonsense! A bore might achieve some success in martial arts, but he would never reach the top. If you could not even read a secret manual, how could you learn martial arts? If you could not even understand the meaning of the words, how could you learn martial arts? The probability of not understanding the meaning of the cultivation methods was very high. Even university students in his past life could not understand some of the more obscure cultivation methods. Therefore, martial artists had to understand a lot of miscellaneous knowledge such as medicine, human anatomy, human skeletal diagrams, and meridian flow diagrams. All of these had to be understood by heart. This was only a senior high school student. When they entered university, martial arts students would have many more subjects than social sciences students. For example, mineralogy, nutrition. The professional examination that Yang Jian mentioned was actually a test of these miscellaneous knowledge. While juggling cultural studies and physical fitness training, one had to learn these knowledge as well. It could be said that students who could pass the martial sciences examination were, without exception, true geniuses. Higher scores in cultural studies than the key social sciences score, a strong body, and knowledge that was not included in cultural studies after listening to the 5 stages of the martial sciences examination. Fong Ping felt mentally exhausted. With the unreliable system in the first 3 stages, Fong Ping felt that he would not have much of a problem. He also had ways to overcome it. This was the martial sciences examination, though his physical fitness was supposed to be assessed, but he still had to take cultural studies, and it had to be higher than the key line. That was not all. Fong Ping still looked at the textbooks, and they were not too different from his past life. The only difference was that the history textbook had some martial arts elements. What about the professional examination? Fong Ping had never touched on such knowledge before. Now that the Gaokao was approaching, could he really handle it? MMP. Chapter 9. No matter how resentful he was, life had to go on. Fong Ping could only accept it passively. After chatting for a while, the white-haired homeroom teacher strolled into the classroom. When the classroom quieted down, the homeroom teacher went straight to the point. Students who want to register for the martial sciences exam, please come to my office later and fill out the registration form. The academic affairs office will help you register later. The homeroom teacher looked at the students who were ready to register as he said this. The truth was, the martial sciences exam was not completely unknown. As the homeroom teacher had a general idea of which students would register. The students had to have top grades, be healthy, and come from a good family background. After a few rounds of selection, the students in the class knew who would register. Sun City was located inland. Although it was called Sun City, it was actually a county-level city. Compared to other county-level cities, Sun City's economy was better, but not by much. It was not a coastal county-level city. Some coastal county-level cities were more developed than the inland ones. In Sun City, there were not many people who did not care about $10,000. Therefore, a simple registration fee was enough to keep a lot of people at the door. After saying this, the homeroom teacher left the classroom. The students who were ready to register stood up and headed to the office. Yang Jian, who was sitting in front of Fong Ping, stood up as well. Zhang Hao, who was sitting at the desk next to him, stood up as well. He was the student who had revealed that Brother Ma had broken through to rank 8. Just as the two of them were about to leave, Fong Ping stood up slowly. His desk mate, Chen Fan, was stunned. He tilted his head and asked, "Going to the toilet?" "To register." Chen Fan was stunned. Fong Ping wanted to register? It was not just Chen Fan. Yang Jian could not help but turn around to look at Fong Ping. He said in surprise, "Fong Ping, you're registering too?" This guy did not sound malicious, but he was shocked by Fong Ping's words. His voice was not soft either. As soon as he said that, many students looked over. They had been classmates for a few years, so they had some understanding of the other students in the class. It was not that Fong Ping could not register, but Fong Ping's small physique. Actually, Fong Ping was slightly stronger than Chen Fan, but he could not compare to Yang Jian, who was sitting in front of him. The cultural studies and general studies exams were still manageable, but could Fong Ping pass the physical assessment and practical test? Yang Jian had just recovered from his shock when Zhang Hao, who was beside him, clicked his tongue and said, "Fong Ping, you're really something, you sly bastard. You don't even join us when we train together after school. You must have trained a lot when you go back. You're too cunning." Zhang Hao's words were exaggerated, but there was no hint of mockery in his tone. He only thought that Fong Ping had hidden his true colors well. If he did not have any confidence, would Fong Ping's family be willing to waste a $10,000 registration fee? Fong Ping did not mind. He chuckled and said, "Don't think too much about it. I'm talented, so why would I need additional training? I've thought about it. Isn't it just 10,000 yuan? If I don't give it a try, who knows if I can get in? Who knows, maybe they will suddenly increase their enrollment this year. If that's the case, wouldn't I be making a fortune?" "Ha ha ha, you wish." Zhang Hao laughed heartily, But as soon as Fong Ping said that, the other students in the class who had not yet decided to sign up were tempted. Fong Ping's words did not seem to be unreasonable. Who knew if there would be more enrollment this year? A few years ago, only 2 or 3 students from number 1 high school passed the martial sciences exam each year. Last year, however, there were 5. Who knew if there would be more this year? Thinking was one thing, but since they had not decided to sign up, there had to be a reason. Fong Ping's words only caused some ripples, but they did not change their minds. His desk mate, Chun Fan, had a complicated look in his eyes. Even though it was just signing up, it did not mean that he had passed. Fong Ping's family was poorer than his. Even Fong Ping dared to try, but Chun Fan did not. In comparison, it seemed like he did not even have the guts to try. Chun Fan tightened his grip on his pen. In the end, he did not change his mind. Even if he signed up, his chances of passing were even slimmer than Fong Ping's. Instead of wasting time on this, he might as well put more effort into social sciences. Fong Ping was not in the mood to care about the thoughts of the other students in the class. He left the classroom with the other students who were ready to sign up and headed upstairs to the homeroom teacher's office. There were not many students in year 3-4 who were ready to sign up. After all, the probability was too low. Those who did not seem to meet the hard requirements would naturally not sign up. In the end, there were only 8 people who walked out of the classroom together. This number was even higher in the past few years. If it were not for the 2 martial science students who got into the normal classes last year, as an example, it would have been good if there were 4 or 5 students in the normal classes. In some normal high schools, there were only a few students who signed up. Fong Ping glanced at the students who were walking with him. As expected, they were all the top students in class. Not only were their grades top-notch, but they were also in good health. Every one of them was well-proportioned. Even Big Beard Yang Jian's grades might not be the best, but they were not bad either. Otherwise, he would not have signed up. There were 2 girls among them. Although they were not too stunning, their figures were not bad. Compared to the bean sprouts in the class who had not even fully developed, these 2 girls had eaten well and trained well to prepare for the martial sciences exams. Yang Jian and Zhang Hao, who were beside Fong Ping, kept glancing at the 2 girls. Aside from Fong Ping, the others were actually quite familiar with each other. The martial sciences exams were not something that could be done in a day. When they had time at night, they would train together. A few of them had even signed up for martial sciences tutoring classes outside the school. Fong Ping was the kind who had appeared out of nowhere. At this time, no one was interested in the others. Instead, they were all interested in Fong Ping. One of the 2 girls that Yang Jian and the others were coveting kept glancing at Fong Ping. After walking for a while, she could not help but ask, "Fong Ping, what's your vitality?" Huh? Fong Ping did not know what to say. Could he say that his vitality was 1? Most importantly, he did not know how vitality was calculated in real life and what units were used as. Luckily, Fong Ping did not have to answer. Yang Jian interrupted with a laugh. "Zhang Nan, I don't think Fong Ping has even gone for a checkup. If this guy had really gone for a checkup, he would have told us a long time ago." Zhang Hao chimed in. "He probably hasn't, but judging by his small frame, I'm sure he's not as tall as me. Can you stop bragging?" Zhang Nan was just asking. Since Fong Ping did not say anything, whether it was because he had not gone for a checkup or because he did not want to talk about it, she did not bother to pursue the matter. After giving Zhang Hao a disdainful look, Zhang Nan shook her head as they walked. "Our class is probably going to be the study companion of the Crown Prince again. I went for a checkup the day before yesterday. The highest fluctuation of my vitality was only 108 calories, Sai. I can only think of a way to take some supplements before the physical assessment and see if I can improve it." After Zhang Nan finished speaking, Yang Jian grinned and said, "I'm slightly better than you. The highest I went for the last checkup was 112 calories. Card was obviously the unit of measurement for vitality. It sounded like the higher the better. Fong Ping had not gone for a checkup before, so he was not afraid of making a fool of himself. He asked, "Who has the highest vitality in our class?" A cheerful young man who was walking at the front of the group turned around and smiled. "According to the results from last time, I should be the highest 115 calories at my peak." Fong Ping actually knew this person. Although the world had changed a little, he was still the same person. The person who spoke was the one with the best results in the cultural studies class. Of course, Fong Ping was not sure if he was now. However, this guy was not the class monitor. In reality, none of the people present were student leaders because they did not have time to waste, and they did not have time to serve others. What was his name? Fong Ping thought for a moment. It should be Wu Zhihao. As Wu Zhihao spoke, he shook his head and said, "Although my vitality is still all right, those guys in the elite classes are the ones with the highest vitality. Zhou Bin is the one with the highest. I heard from his class last time that his peak vitality was over 120 calories. I'm not sure about the others in our school, but Zhou Bin has a 99% chance of getting in, as long as there are no accidents in between." "Ha! Zhihao, why don't you hire someone to break his legs? We'll have one less competitor," Zhang Hao joked. Wu Zhihao rolled his eyes and said speechlessly, "It's not our school's selection. Even if Zhou Bin doesn't get in, it has nothing to do with us. Otherwise, I would really have such thoughts." Zhang Hao chuckled and said casually, "Anyway, I'll give it a try. Maybe I'll pass." Nanjiang Martial Arts University's admission standard last year was 112 calories vitality. Even if it's a little higher this year, there's a limit to it. Anyway, I don't think it'll be a big problem for you. Wu Zhihao shook his head again and said, "I don't know. The standard has been increasing every year for the past few years. I think it will be at least 115 calories this year. Also, it was useless to just reach the required HP. What about the others? The key is not to look at this. We have to look at the others. If the others have low vitality and we have high vitality, then we have a chance. But if the others have high vitality, we won't be able to get in no matter how well we do." These admission standards were the same as the social sciences exam. They were not fixed. The quota for martial science students was there. Maybe with your results this year, you could pass the martial sciences exam based on last year's results. But this year everyone is strong, so you will still fail. Or maybe if you did poorly this year, and everyone else did poorly, even if you were not as strong as last year's batch, you would still be able to get in. But in this day and age, everyone's lives were getting better. The standard was increasing every year, so the probability of it going down was too low. According to Wu Zhihao, there were a total of 8 people in class, 4, including Fong Ping, and only 3 of them had a vitality above 110 calories: Wu Zhihao, Yang Jian, and the girl Lu Ruoqi, who had not spoken much. The others, including Zhang Hao, had not reached 110 calories. However, Zhang Hao was not far from 110 calories. There was still hope if he ate more blood-replenishing supplements before the exam. This was not considered cheating. In this day and age, supplements that could really replenish vitality were very expensive. Those who could afford it were all from well-off families. Martial artists, on the other hand, needed the support of wealth. Whether one's family was rich or not, their support for a martial artist's future was different. Wealth determined one's future. Although it was not an absolute reality, it was a common one. That was why Zhang Hao dared to sign up even if his vitality had not reached 110 calories, because his family had already prepared supplements for him. The reason he did not eat them now was because he was afraid that some of the effects would be lost after digestion, and he would not reach the standard. If he ate them before the physical assessment, although he would not be able to digest them all at once, it was a good thing for those who wanted to enter the martial sciences. Zhang Hao did not mention this, but in reality, everyone else had similar preparations. Of course, there were exceptions, such as Fong Ping. His application for the martial sciences exam was too sudden. His parents did not expect him to sign up. In reality, Fong Mingrong was already considering whether to buy some vitality supplements for his son without Fong Ping's knowledge. Unfortunately, those supplements were too expensive, starting from 10,000 yuan. Old Fong had not made up his mind yet. Listening to everyone's conversation, Fong Ping thought to himself, can my one vitality be converted to 110 calories? The possibility was still very high. However, even if it was 110 calories, it did not seem to be an advantage. After all, Wu Zhihao from the normal classes had 115 calories. There should be many in the elite classes who had exceeded 110 calories. Nanjiang Martial Arts University's minimum admission standard was 112 calories last year, but it was hard to say this year. Looks like I'll have to put some effort into this. I have to at least pass the first 3 tests before I have time to think about the rest. Chapter 10. In the office, the process of paying, registering, and filling in the registration form was simple. When no one was paying attention, Fong Ping did another experiment by casually touching the registration fees paid by the other students. In the end, as he expected, his wealth did not increase. Fong Ping had expected this, so he was not disappointed. There were not many people, so the registration was over quickly. The homeroom teacher collected the registration forms and scanned the 8 people in front of him. They were Class 4's hope for the Martial Sciences exam this year. The homeroom teacher knew most of the others. The only exception was Fong Ping. As Fong Ping's homeroom teacher, Fong Mingrong had also attended the parent-teacher conference. Lu Ongua knew the Fong family situation. However, there were many students who wanted to try their luck at this time of the year. It was unexpected but reasonable. After collecting his thoughts, Lu Ongua said, the day after tomorrow, which is the 9th, Nanjiang Martial Arts University student, Wang Jinyang will be returning to school to answer questions before the exam. Everyone should know about it, so remember to attend. Everyone nodded quickly. Having a senior to share his experiences would be helpful. The school will distribute the Martial Sciences exam timetable and other things to take note of. Take a look at it carefully. Although Lu Ongua was everyone's homeroom teacher, the class was a collective that faced the general public. He mainly taught social sciences knowledge. He would only mention a few things about martial sciences. However, the school had martial sciences training classes, and there were also martial sciences tutoring classes. This was the main focus of martial sciences students. The others had more or less attended classes or hired martial sciences tutors. Lu Ongua scanned the crowd. Fong Ping was probably the only one who had not been there. There was no need to ask. If he had been there, his father would have mentioned it at the parent-teacher conference even if Fong Ping did not mention it. Sighing in his heart, Lu Ongua suddenly got up from his seat and squatted down to open the cabinet on his desk. After a while, Lu Ongua stood up with a stack of thick books in his hands. He placed them on the desk and said to Fong Ping, "See if there's anything you need. The other students have attended the school's martial sciences training classes. They have all these materials. Take them if you need anything." Fong Ping was slightly surprised, but it was what he needed now. He said hurriedly, "Thank you, teacher." Lu Ongua didn't make a big deal out of it. Although the information wasn't cheap, even if he bought it outside, it would cost a few $100s. However, for students from poor families, he didn't mind helping them out if he could take care of them a little. Lu Ongua did not know whether to laugh or cry when he saw that Fong Ping did not reject them and happily hugged all the materials and books in his arms. Looking at the situation, this brat was probably unprepared. Otherwise, there was no need for him to bring some of the more common books with him. Although he did not have high hopes for Fong Ping, Lu Ongua, as their homeroom teacher, hesitated for a moment before he turned to Wu Zhihao and said, "Fong Ping doesn't know as much about the martial sciences exam as you do, and he doesn't know much about the general studies either. I'm afraid it'll be very difficult for him to finish reading all these books. Wu Zhihao, can you make a copy of your general studies exam notes for Fong Ping? Compared to books, the notes taken by these martial science students who were preparing for the exams were much more effective. The main point of the examination was to summarize and unify. These things were all concluded by the students themselves. Wu Zhihao was the best student in class 4, so he had the highest chance of passing the martial sciences exam. Borrowing his notes for revision could save a lot of time and energy. However, the notes were personal property. Even the homeroom teacher had no right to demand it. They could only discuss it. Fong Ping was already very grateful that the homeroom teacher had given him the books. He did not expect the homeroom teacher to ask Wu Zhihao for a copy of his notes. In his past life, his homeroom teacher was also a good teacher, but Fong Ping's grades were neither good nor bad. His relationship with the homeroom teacher was average, and they did not interact much. He did not expect the homeroom teacher to be more responsible than he had imagined. It was not his responsibility as a teacher that Fong Ping was not prepared. Gifting the books was already an extra favor, and now the homeroom teacher was taking the initiative to ask for his notes. Fong Ping did not wait for Wu Zhihao to speak. He said hurriedly, "Teacher Lu, there's no need." Before he could finish his sentence, Wu Zhihao laughed and said, "It's okay. You can use mine to make a copy. It's not a big deal. To put it more realistically, it's a question of whether you can use it or not." Wu Zhihao was not afraid of hurting Fong Ping's feelings. In reality, everyone knew that even Wu Zhihao himself did not stand a chance of entering the 4th stage, the general studies exam. Since the homeroom teacher had spoken, Wu Zhihao did not want to turn him down. Since Wu Zhihao had said so, Fong Ping did not try to be pretentious and quickly thanked him. Indeed, looking at the huge pile of books and information in his hands, Fong Ping's head was swelling. If he could borrow Wu Zhihao's notes, he would know the key points of the exam, and he would not have to finish reading them all at a loss. After saying these things, the registration was over. Lu Onghua asked them to return to the classroom while he continued grading the papers. After leaving the office, Wu Zhihao took the initiative to say to Fong Ping, "I left some of my notes at home. If it's urgent, you can come with me tonight to get them. If not, I'll bring them tomorrow." Fong Ping was too embarrassed to ask Wu Zhihao to bring them to him, since he had already owed him a favor. He said hurriedly, "I'll go get them. Thank you so much." "Don't mention it. We're all classmates." Wu Zhihao did not have much of an air of arrogance. He laughed and said, "Our chances of passing the martial sciences exam are too low for normal classes. We're not competitors. But I'll be honest, don't mind me. At the very least, you don't have to look at these materials before you pass the physical assessment. It'll waste your time. After you pass the physical assessment, you can spend more time on them. Although the martial sciences exam has a variety of topics and content, it's different from the social sciences exam. The content of the exam every year is mostly the same. Actually, for us martial sciences students, the hardest part isn't the general studies exam or the cultural studies exam, but the physical assessment and practical tests. These are almost all mandatory requirements, and the 2 exams with the highest elimination rate. As soon as Wu Zhihao finished speaking, Yang Jian said gloomily, "Is that so? Why do I feel that the general studies exam and the cultural studies exam are harder?" Wu Zhihao could not be bothered with him. Different people had different opinions. He nodded again. He was a newbie now, so there was nothing wrong with listening to these people's experiences. After some thought, Fong Ping asked, "Where should I go for the vitality examination?" As a martial sciences student who had suddenly joined the exam, Fong Ping did not think that there was anything wrong with his ignorance. The others were not surprised. Yang Jian said immediately, "Only Sun City's First People's Hospital has a vitality meter for vitality examination. It's too expensive, and Sun City isn't big, so not many people use it. There's no other choice." After Yang Jian said that, Zhang Hao reminded him, "Fong Ping, if I were you, I wouldn't go for the examination. I'm not trying to discourage you, but it's too late for you to replenish your vitality. Now, anyway, the examination fee for this thing is very expensive. $5,000 a time, no bargaining. It's almost time for the physical assessment, so you might as well wait for it to happen. 5,000. Fong Ping was speechless. This was daylight robbery. However, for martial sciences students who were preparing for the exam, it was necessary for them to know their own situation in advance. That was why they did not have to worry about customers. Fong Ping had originally wanted to know his own situation, but he could only give up now. Wu Zhihao seemed to know what Fong Ping was thinking. He laughed suddenly and said, "The hospital's vitality meter is a large-scale one. It can accurately detect vitality fluctuations and peak vitality values. However, this should be your first time, so there's no need to know so much. Aren't you going to my place to get your notes tonight? I have a small vitality meter at home, but the error is a little big. It fluctuates by 5 calories. You can give it a try. F*CK. Zhihao, your family bought this?" Everyone was shocked when they heard Wu Zhihao's words. Although the small vitality meter was not as expensive as the large one, the bigger the error, the cheaper it was. A 5 calories error was considered big. Even so, this kind of special instrument was very expensive. At least in everyone's eyes, it was a shocking amount of money. The cheapest one in Wu Zhihao's house would cost hundreds of thousands. Wu Zhihao smiled nonchalantly. "It's second-hand, so it's not worth much. Plus, I need to get checked often, and it's expensive to go to the hospital. It takes up a lot of time, too. That's why my dad bought me a second-hand one. It's just for general testing." That was the truth. For people like them, accuracy was the most important thing. A difference of a few cal was too inaccurate. If everyone present went to Wu Zhihao's house for a checkup, everyone's data would probably be the same. What was more, it would be normal for Yang Jian to have a higher score than Wu Zhihao. If they really prepared according to this data, they would be eliminated. Although it was useless to others, it was very useful to Fong Ping. Right now, Fong Ping mainly wanted to see how many cal his won. One vitality could be converted into in reality. A rough range was enough. Hearing Wu Zhihao's words, Fong Ping hurriedly smiled. "Then I'll have to trouble you. I don't even know how to thank you. You don't have to say anything. When I pass, I'll definitely treat you to a feast." Ha ha ha. Zhang Hao burst into laughter and teased. "Fong Ping, I'm afraid Wu Zhihao won't be able to wait for this feast. Go away," Fong Ping said confidently. "I'll definitely pass. There's no doubt about it." Ha ha ha. Everyone laughed again. It was not a mockery, but they thought that Fong Ping was really confident. Among the 8 people present, Wu Zhihao might not even dare to say that he would definitely pass. After laughing for a while, Zhang Hao said to Wu Zhihao, "Zhihao, Fong Ping will go to your place for a checkup tonight. Remember to tell us the results tomorrow. Although it's not very accurate, you can get a general idea after a few more tests." Chapter 11. After returning to the classroom, Fong Ping exchanged a few words with Chun Fan before he started reading the books he had gotten from the homeroom teacher. Fong Ping's head began to hurt after a brief glance. The martial sciences general examination involved a lot of knowledge. The most important content was the knowledge of one's own body. As a martial artist in preparation, if one did not even know the structure of one's body, how could one train one's physique better? The number of bones in the human body, the number of major arteries and veins, the blood circulation system, these were all things that one had to master. This included the arrangement of bones, their names, the functions of the internal organs, and the explanation of some martial arts terms. There was also a series of basic knowledge related to medicine and pharmacology. Other than that, the materials given by the homeroom teacher included martial arts history, biographies of ancient and modern celebrities, encyclopedia of basic weapons, summary of basic martial arts routines. Fong Ping felt dizzy after reading a few pages of any of the books, let alone looking at them in detail. There were more than 10 books in front of him. It would be a huge project to read all of them from cover to cover. Even if Fong Ping read them like a novel, he would not be far from the Gaokao by the time he finished them. After that, Fong Ping still had to prepare for the cultural studies exam. The textbooks were from many years ago. Even if the foundation was there, it would take a long time for him to recover. What a headache! Chun Fan saw Fong Ping's pale face. Although he was unhappy that Fong Ping did not tell him before he registered, he comforted him. Where there's a will, there's a way. You can't waste the registration fee, can you? Fong Ping rolled his eyes. So, in your opinion, all my hard work is for this 10,000 yuan registration fee? Chun Fan ignored him and comforted him. He continued, it's a pity that we're not martial artists. If we become martial artists, we'll be full of energy. We can go days and nights without sleep. I heard that the brains of high-level martial artists are as fast as computers. Whether it's running a business or handling government affairs, one of them can take on more than 10 ordinary people. They're full of energy. I heard that when Grandmaster Ma started his business, he had limited funds and manpower. At his peak, he didn't sleep for 7 days and 7 nights. In 1 week, he did what an ordinary person would do in a year. At that time, Grandmaster Ma's martial arts skills were not that strong. Now, he might not sleep for a month. Just thinking about it makes me jealous. If we had the physique and energy of a martial artist, cultural studies would be nothing. It's not impossible for us to get full marks. Chun Fan's face was full of regret. Nowadays, there were many students who scored full marks in the college entrance examination. Some third-year high school students in big cities, even if they had not become official martial artists, were only a step away from becoming one. Under such circumstances, although these people were multitasking, their comprehension and memory abilities were frighteningly astonishing. Every year, the top scholars of the various provinces were almost all snatched away by these preparatory martial artists. The speaker did not mean it, but the listener did. Fong Ping's eyebrows twitched slightly. Chun Fan did not have this condition, but it did not mean that he did not. Fong Ping had already experienced the benefits of having a strong vitality. His vitality had increased slightly the day before, and he felt more energetic than before. In the past, he would have been drowsy if he went to bed late and woke up early, but now he didn't feel that way at all. This was the benefit of having a strong qi and blood. It gave ordinary people more energy. What was the use of the spirit on the interface? Fong Ping had a vague answer in his heart. Perhaps he should try it next time. If the increase in his mental strength could really make his memory and comprehension stronger, then the later exams might not be difficult anymore. Even if he could not become the top scholar, Fong Ping would be satisfied as long as he reached the standard. Chun Fan's unintentional words made Fong Ping feel more at ease. It seemed that he still had to find a way to earn money and test it out. Whether it was the growth of vitality or the growth of mentality, money was indispensable. Without money, there was no hope for anything. The classes in the day were mainly about revision and doing questions. Fong Ping did not waste time. Most of the time, he was reading and did not start writing. The teachers saw this, but did not say anything. At this point, it was all voluntary. Moreover, the teachers had heard that Fong Ping had registered for the martial sciences exams, so they did not disturb him even when he took out his books to read during some classes. A day passed by quickly. When the school bell rang in the afternoon, Fong Ping did not leave with Chun Fan and the others this time. Instead, he walked toward Wu Zhihao. Wu Zhihao smiled as he packed his bag. I see that you've been reading about the general studies today. How do you feel? It's all right. It's not too difficult, but there's too much, and it's too complicated. Some of the knowledge won't be tested. After you make a copy of my notes, just revise according to them. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask me. Thank you. Sorry to trouble you. Fong Ping thanked him again. It was not easy for Wu Zhihao to say something like this at such a crucial time. Some top students would rather be the only one who knew about it when it was time to take the exam. Of course, this was also related to the fact that the martial sciences exams were not limited to the classes. Wu Zhihao did not see Fong Ping as a potential rival. His rivals were the top students in the top classes, the top students in Sun City, and even the top students in the country. Fong Ping was someone who did not even understand the basics. He was not someone he wanted to surpass. How could he become a martial artist if he did not even have this kind of perspective? The two of them chatted as they walked out of the school. Wu Zhihao's house was not too far from number 1 high school. It was about a 10-minute walk away from number 1 high school. It was also a residential area, but the environment was good. It was considered a high-class place in Sun City. Fong Ping glanced outside the residential area and was surprised. He had thought that Wu Zhihao's family would at least live in a villa. Fong Ping did not know this old classmate very well. Even in his past life, they had not interacted much. However, when he thought about it, it seemed normal. Even if Wu Zhihao's family was well off, it was limited. Otherwise, he would have entered the top classes. You could still get into the top classes in high school if you threw in a little more money. Of course, he could not rule out those who would rather be the head of a chicken than the tail of a phoenix, and purposely chose to enter the normal classes. The residential area was high class, and the property management was more responsible. Unlike Fong Ping's house, where anyone could enter, one had to swipe a card to enter. The two of them entered the residential area. Wu Zhihao said as they walked, "Brother Sky King will return to school in the future. I wonder if we'll have a chance to talk to him alone. The school has finally done something serious this time. Brother Wang is the idol of us normal class students. Brother Wang is one of the 2 normal class martial sciences students who passed the martial sciences exam last year. Before the Gaokao, Brother Wang's results were just average. However, in the last month, he suddenly exploded and got into Nanjiang Martial Arts University. Everyone's jaws dropped. I wonder if there's any secret. If I could learn a little." Wu Zhihao rambled on, feeling a little regretful. Even if there was a secret, Fong Ping would not say it publicly. Fong Ping felt a little strange when he heard that. Why did it sound like it was similar to his own? Could it be that Fong Ping was also reborn? However, Wu Zhihao said a few more things. It did not sound like it. It should be the result of a normal person exploding. As they chatted, the two of them arrived at Wu Zhihao's house. The moment he opened the door, Wu Zhihao looked at Fong Ping subconsciously. Fong Ping's face was calm, which made Wu Zhihao feel strange. The Wu family's house was not small, and it was a duplex with 2 floors. The renovations were also high-end. Under such circumstances, a poor student like Fong Ping would usually be envious when he entered the house. Even if he was not envious, he would not be unmoved. However, Fong Ping was unmoved. His expression was natural. If he knew what Wu Zhihao was thinking, Fong Ping would definitely fulfill his wish. Unfortunately, Fong Ping did not think that much at the moment. As for being envious or surprised, that was all nonsense. In his past life, Fong Ping had bought a decent-sized house with the support of his parents and his own savings after he graduated from university. Although the renovations were simple, it was comparable to the Wu family's house. Moreover, Fong Ping had bought it in the provincial capital city. If he really wanted to compare, the price might be more expensive than the Wu family's duplex. Moreover, he had worked for a few years and had seen a lot of things. He had visited the standalone villas in Capital City and Magic City. Why would he be shocked by a duplex in a small city? Wu Zhihao's house was occupied. His mother was at home. Seeing that her son had brought a classmate home, the woman did not say much. After a few polite words, Wu Zhihao brought Fong Ping upstairs. First, he found his notes and handed them to Fong Ping. Soon, Wu Zhihao led Fong Ping out of the study and into a room next to it. This is the gym. The vitality meter is over here. Wu Zhihao opened the door to the gym. The room's renovations were relatively simple. There were not many machines either. Dumbbells, barbells, a treadmill, and a leg-lifting frame were everything. Fong Ping had not seen the other machine before. He had not seen it in the gym in his past life either. It was similar to a massage chair, but there was a display screen next to it. If he guessed correctly, it should be the vitality meter. Reality proved that Fong Ping had good taste. Wu Zhihao led Fong Ping to the side of the massage chair and said with a smile, "This is the vitality meter. But the one in my house is a simple version. It can't compare to the ones in the hospital. The ones in the hospital are similar to space capsules. They can do a comprehensive examination. The one in my house can only do a general examination. Lie down on it. I'll help you connect the sensors. You'll have to exert more force later." Exert more force? Fong Ping looked confused. Wu Zhihao explained with a smile, "Vitality is usually calm. Only when it's boiling can you reach your peak. It's not just your body that's boiling. Your emotions have to be boiling too. The vitality test doesn't just measure your blood, but also your invisible qi. I can't explain this clearly. In any case, only when your body and emotions are boiling can you reach your true peak. Do you see the pedals under the vitality meter? Later, kick your legs hard and stretch your arms as far back as possible. Anyway, just use all your strength. It's fine if you do the test in private, but when it's time for the physical assessment, you must give it your all," Wu Zhihao explained for a while. When Fong Ping nodded to show that he understood, he gestured for Fong Ping to lie down. After Fong Ping lay down, Wu Zhihao picked up a few stethoscope-like sensors around the massage chair and attached them to Fong Ping's arms, legs, heart, and forehead. When it's time for the physical assessment, it'll be different. When the time comes, you won't be attached to the sensors. You'll enter the vitality chamber, and you'll be able to move freely. The vitality chamber can use a series of methods to get specific feedback results. Only then can it test your true vitality value. Having said that, Wu Zhihao turned on the display screen beside him and said hurriedly, "You can start now. Remember, strenuous exercise will cause your emotions to fluctuate. If you really can't do it, think of a short movie." Fong Ping, who was about to exert force, almost choked. This guy was not as honest as he thought. Ignoring the guy, Fong Ping took a light breath. Then he kicked the pedals with both legs and stretched his arms with all his might. Chapter 12. Inside the gym. The numbers on the display kept jumping. As Fong Ping panted, the numbers slowly stopped. 113 calories. Wu Zhihao's face was full of disbelief. Yes, the small vitality measuring machine at home had a large error, but it was only 5 calories. In other words, Fong Ping's vitality was at least 108 calories and, at most, 118 calories. How was that possible? How is that possible? Wu Zhihao did not mean to look down on Fong Ping, but it was not logical. If Yang Jian had a high vitality in his first test, he would have accepted it. He was a burly man with a strong body. It was normal for his vitality to be higher than the average person's. Even if it was Yang Jian, it was built on the basis that his family was well off and he ate well every meal. Even so, Yang Jian's vitality was not this high in his first test. Was it? Fong Ping. Wu Zhihao had thought that Fong Ping had signed up confidently. Even if his vitality was higher than the average person's, he could accept it. For example, 102 calories, 103 calories. But now, the number was 113 calories. The lowest was 108 calories, instantly reaching the standard of Zhang Nan and Zhang Hao. Among the 8 people who signed up in the same class, the lowest was 106 calories. In other words, Fong Ping was not the one at the bottom. While Wu Zhihao was in a daze, Fong Ping was still working hard on the pedals. After a while, Fong Ping could not help but pant. "Is it done?" Wu Zhihao came to his senses and said in a daze, "Yes." He was about to say yes when Wu Zhihao suddenly said, "Maybe the contact just now wasn't very good. Try again." Fong Ping glanced at him. Although he felt that this guy's words were not very reliable, he owed him a favor. If he had to try again, so be it. Speaking of which, this test was hard work. It was really troublesome. After Wu Zhihao had helped him rearrange the sensor, Fong Ping tried his best to work on it again. His whole body was exhausted. Although it was just a short while, the amount of exercise was not low. 3 minutes later, the number stopped again. 108 calories, Wu Zhihao calculated. This time, the range was 103 to 113 calories combined with the previous test. Fong Ping's vitality range was between 108 to 113 calories. The highest value was not as high as his. He was already 115 calories. But even if it was the lowest, it was still very impressive. After a moment, Wu Zhihao said, "It doesn't seem very accurate. Should we try again?" Fong Ping. How could Fong Ping not know what this guy was thinking at this point? His forehead was covered in sweat as he said, "Forget it. I'm so tired right now. I'm not in the right state at all. I can't get an accurate reading." There was nothing wrong with what he said. In a situation where one's body was exhausted, the test would only get lower and lower. However, the data of 108 calories and above was still difficult for Wu Zhihao to calm down. A faint sense of jealousy arose in his heart. Wu Zhihao could not help but ask, "Do you usually eat supplements that replenish blood and qi? Or did you take medicine to replenish your qi and blood?" Tonics were also divided into two types. One was food, and the other was medicine. The effects of dietary supplements were slow, and the cycle was long, but the cost was lower. Overall, it was more cost-effective than medicinal supplements. Although the effects of medicinal supplements could be seen quickly, the first generation was expensive. Secondly, going too far was as bad as not going far enough. Most of the time, the medicinal effects would be wasted. Fong Ping saw the look on his face, as if he was afraid that he would say that he was gifted. He felt sympathy for him and comforted him. "My family feeds me with nourishing herbs every day. They spend all their money on good food for me. They're counting on me to pass the martial sciences exams to recoup their losses." Why did it sound so fake? Although Wu Zhihao did not think it was possible, he reluctantly accepted the fact that the physical assessment was imminent. Fong Ping's score was not as high as his after all. He suppressed the jealousy in his heart and smiled bitterly. "All right, I thought your vitality was at 105 calories at most. It seems like I was wrong. Your vitality is between 108 to 113 calories. The vitality measuring machine used at home is not very accurate. It might be more accurate after a few more tests, but it's not very reliable if you're not at your peak. If you really want to know the exact data, you can check it out at First People's Hospital." Fong Ping chuckled. "We'll see. Thank you this time." "You're welcome." Wu Zhihao thought for a while. He wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, he said, "If you really want to have more than 110 calories, you can ask your parents to prepare some medicine. You've just enrolled, so there are some things you don't know. Usually, we'll prepare some medicine before the physical assessment. If your family isn't that well off, they'll at least prepare a blood replenishing pill. Those who are slightly better off will prepare a qi replenishing pill, blood replenishing pill, qi replenishing pill." Fong Ping could not help but think of the advertisements he had seen in school. He said quickly, "I really didn't pay much attention to these things. I didn't think about taking the martial sciences exams before. How much do these medicine cost? Blood replenishing pills cost around 5,000 yuan. Qi replenishing pills are more expensive, around 10,000 yuan. What about blood and qi replenishing pills?" Fong Ping asked again. Those were the things advertised in the school advertisements. It depends on how you buy them. Actually, the prices of these things are different. Regular pharmacies charge 30,000 yuan each, but some pharmacies don't have a license to sell these kinds of medicine. You might be able to buy them for 20,000 yuan. They're hard to find, though. Even if you find them, they might not sell them to you. Wu Zhihao said a few words. Seeing that Fang Ping was deep in thought, he said, "Last year, Nanjiang Martial Arts University's minimum admission standard was 112 calories. Actually, it's relatively speaking. Some people did well in social sciences and did well in the general studies, but their vitality was a little lacking, so they could get in with 112 calories. However, if they didn't do well in other areas and barely passed the minimum, then the requirement for vitality would be higher. I've been paying attention to Nanjiang Martial Arts University. I've asked some seniors. Last year, most of the students actually had around 115 calories. This year, it might be higher. Otherwise, I wouldn't have to worry about not getting in." As for you, Wu Zhihao paused for a moment and said uncertainly, "I can't say for sure how much your vitality is now. I advise you to go to the hospital for a checkup. If it's above 110 calories, then you can try buying a vitality pill." Vitality pill? Wu Zhihao nodded. "Yes, these are all supplements sold by regular pharmacies. I heard that there are better ones, but they have nothing to do with us. If we don't become martial artists, we'll just eat them for free. The vitality pill is the best one. If we're lucky, we won't lose too much of the medicine's effects. It's possible to increase our vitality by 3 or 4 cal during the physical assessment. Vitality pills are a little expensive, though. 100,000 yuan. Fang Ping immediately dismissed the idea. What a joke. 100,000 yuan was enough for him to exchange for 1 vitality point, though he did not know if it would be the same in the future. No matter what, with 100,000 yuan, there were too many things he could do. There was no way he would buy something like that. The vitality pill was the best, but its effects were only SOSO. The others did not even need to be mentioned. Fang Ping had originally been interested in these medicines, but now he had completely given up. His vitality was only 1, and it was around 110 calories now. If it increased to 1, 2, would it be 120 calories? The effect of 10,000 yuan was equivalent to hundreds of thousands of yuan worth of supplements. Only then did Fang Ping realize that he had profited big time. Moreover, the money would not disappear. Fang Ping did not stay long after the test ended. He went downstairs with Wu Zhihao. Mama Wu was very enthusiastic and asked Fang Ping to stay for dinner. Naturally, Fang Ping would not stay for dinner. After a few polite words, he picked up his backpack and left. As soon as he left, Mama Wu asked curiously, "I've never seen this classmate of yours before. Is he a new friend?" Wu Zhihao shook his head and explained, "He's a student who's applying for martial sciences. He hasn't had his vitality checked before, so he's here for a checkup." Upon hearing this, Mama Wu knew that Fang Ping's family was not very well off. Otherwise, why would he not have had his vitality checked when he signed up for the martial sciences exam? She said subconsciously, "Young man, you're a little short. Not that high, right?" Wu Zhihao scratched his head and said gloomily, "It's quite high. It's at least 108 calories, Mom. You said that I eat well and drink well, but I think I only had 103 calories the first time. Did you mistreat me when I was young?" Mama Wu glared at her son. "Mistreat my foot." Their house was almost empty just to let this little rascal take the martial sciences exam. The couple had worked hard for so many years, but they only had this house left. Lakeview Gardens, Block 6, Unit 101. Fang Ping came home late today. When he got home, his whole family was at home. Before his parents could ask, Fang Ping said with a smile, "Dad, I paid the registration fee today. The homeroom teacher even gave me a set of materials for the martial sciences exam. That's not all. I went to my classmate's house after school and did a vitality check." A vitality check? Fang Mingrong did not care much about this, but he had heard about it. He asked curiously. You can do it at home? Yes. It's a small one, so it's not very accurate, Fong Ping explained and said with a smile, Dad, do you know what my vitality is? Fong Mingrong did not know much about this. Fong Yuan, on the other hand, knew a little. She giggled and said, 95 calories? You're panting from running. Your body must be weak. One of my classmates' brother did a check. He said 104 calories. I heard you can take the martial sciences exam. Fong Ping said disdainfully, You want to take the martial sciences exam with 104 calories? Do you really think the martial sciences exam is worthless? You're so proud of it. Isn't it embarrassing? Your brother, I just did a random check. It's above 110 calories. I might even be lower. Fong Yuan blinked. Then she snorted and turned to her father. Dad. Fong Ping's bragging again. My classmate said that it's only 110 calories for the martial sciences exam. That's old news. Last year, Nanjiang Martial Arts University's lowest standard was 112 calories. The average was around 115 calories. It might be slightly higher this year, but your brother is talented. I'm still growing, so my vitality will increase as well. When the physical assessment comes, I'll definitely be able to reach the standard. I'll definitely pass the martial sciences exam this year. Fong Ping said this to reassure his parents. It was 10,000 bucks after all. He would not be able to explain it to them without some results. Fong Mingrong and Li Yueying were stunned when they heard him say this. Their son was so close to the martial sciences exam, both of them could not believe it. They wondered if their son was really bragging. Fong Ping swore, though. He even pinched Fong Yuan's round face and promised, I really have 110 calories. If I don't, I swear I'll never pinch Fong Yuan's face again. Mom. Chapter 13. Fong Ping said it so confidently that Fong Mingrong and his wife had no choice but to believe him. After believing their son's words, the couple was happy at first, but then they felt sad and even a little guilty. Obviously, they believed Fong Ping's words. Their son was really talented. Now, however, it had been delayed by them. The thought of their son being born into a wealthy family, the couple did not dare to think about it any further. They wore smiles on their faces at the dining table, but there was an unconcealable disappointment in their eyes. After dinner, Li Yueying cleared the dishes and went into the kitchen. Fong Mingrong followed her. Fong Yuan rubbed her belly, feeling good. Fong Ping had stopped fighting for food with her these few days. She could eat to her heart's content every day. Fong Ping did not fight for food with her, though. The little girl was disappointed. She did not feel as good as before. Fong Yuan asked excitedly as soon as her parents left, Fong Ping, can you really pass the martial sciences exam? Of course. But why do I feel like you're bragging? Can't we trust each other a little more? Fong Yuan nodded reluctantly, giving her brother some face. Then she poked her head out and asked, If you don't pass, you won't pinch my face anymore? Fong Ping's expression darkened. He turned and glared at her. Are you stupid? When I pass the martial sciences exam and become a martial artist, what can I not have? When that time comes, I'll take you to KFC, buy you new clothes, take you to the movies, and even beat up those little boys who gave you nicknames. Tell me, which would you choose between pinching my face? The little girl fell into a dilemma. Fong Ping seemed to have a point. Fong Ping did not have time to care about her. He stood up and walked to the backyard. Fong Yuan saw him sneaking around and asked, What are you doing? Mom and Dad must be discussing how much they should spend on supplements for me. I'm going to listen. Fong Ping was not stupid. He could guess what his parents were talking about when they entered the kitchen together. He could not listen to his parents, though. If they really spent a lot of money on supplements, such as the most expensive vitality pill, Fong Ping would be pissed to death. That was very likely. Even if they did buy it, they would only tell him about it after it was done. It would be too late for regrets then. Rather than that, he might as well think of a way to trick his parents first. At the moment, Fong Ping was in urgent need of money. He had yet to think of a way to earn a quick buck. Even if he did, he would need some capital on hand. Fong Ping did not feel guilty about lying to his parents at this time. Everything came back to him after he passed the martial sciences exams. Even if he did not pass, Fong Ping did not think that he would become a cripple. Backyard kitchen. It was not much different from what Fong Ping had guessed. As Fong Mingrong smoked, he knitted his brows and asked, "How much savings do we have at home?" "More than 50,000. Ping Ping and Yuan have been spending a lot these few years. Take it out after work tomorrow. Ping Ping can't be delayed by us. It was also my fault. In the past, there was a leader's child who went for a checkup. At that time, I did not think too much about it. If not for..." Sigh. Fong Mingrong sighed. If Fong Ping had not volunteered to register himself, he would not have allowed his son to take the martial sciences exam. But who knew that his son was really talented? Now, Fong Mingrong was about to die of regret. It was almost Gaokao. He did not know if he could make it in time. Sighing, Fong Mingrong said, "I heard from our workshop's director that his son bought quite a lot of supplements for his Gaokao. The effects are pretty good. In the next 2 months, buy more supplements for Ping Ping. I'll ask if there are other medicines that can help. If we don't have enough money, we can borrow some from someone. When Ping Ping is done with his Gaokao, we can also get a checkup for Yuan. If they are delayed by us again, their lives will be ruined." Li Yuang was speechless. After a while, she said softly, "All right, I'll go get the money after work tomorrow." As the couple discussed, Fong Ping had heard enough. He walked into the kitchen from the door. When they saw their son, the couple stopped talking and did not talk about the matter anymore. Fong Ping pretended not to know about it. He said awkwardly, "Dad, Mom, I have something to tell you." Fong Mingrong stubbed out his cigarette and replied, "Go ahead. It's like this. Wasn't I doing a vitality checkup at a classmate's house today? That classmate of mine has the best results in our class. He has a high chance of getting into a martial arts university this year. He said that in my case, there's a chance of getting in, but I need to prepare more." Fong Mingrong said hurriedly, "Tell me, what do you need to prepare? Don't worry about anything else. As long as you can get into martial sciences, I'll think of something for you. It's like this. He said that it's best if I can buy some supplements." Fong Mingrong sighed in relief. He would have done it even if his son had not mentioned it. Fong Ping continued, "But it's a little expensive. My classmate said that, in my case, it's best if I can buy a blood and qi replenishing pill. However, blood and qi replenishing pills cost 30,000 yuan at the pharmacy. He's bought it before, but it's much cheaper. His dad's a businessman and knows a few pharmacy owners. He can buy one for 20,000 yuan. I'm thinking if I should ask him to buy one for me." Fong Mingrong frowned slightly. It was not that he was reluctant to part with the money. After all, 20,000 yuan was a lot less than he had expected. The problem was, would it be reliable? 10,000 yuan was not a small sum to the Fong family. It would be troublesome if they were cheated. Fong Ping knew that his father would be worried, so he quickly added, "He's rich, so he's not lying. Plus, he has good grades, so he's going to take the martial sciences exams. Dad, he has to go through a background check. If he cheated me of my money and I tell the school, he'll be disqualified immediately. I've thought about it, and I'm sure he's not lying. Otherwise, he'd be too stupid. If he passes the martial sciences exams, even 2 million won't be a lot of money, let alone 20,000 yuan. Fong Mingrong hesitated for a moment, then steeled his heart and nodded. "Okay, I'll apply for leave tomorrow and go to his house." "Dad," Fong Ping said hurriedly, "he's busy. Why would you go to his house for 20,000 yuan? You make it sound like you don't believe him. He's helping you, it's not like he has to. He only agreed to help me because I did well in the exam today. Who else would be willing to help If you agree, I'll go to his house and tell him about it. Dad, is that okay? Fong Mingrong was still hesitant, but Li Weiying agreed. You're right. He's doing this for Ping Ping's sake. He's only willing to help because Ping Ping has a chance of passing the martial sciences exams. Who are you? You're just a worker. Who would be willing to help you? Fong Ping saw that his father had not said anything, so he said, It's Wu Zhihao from our class. Do you know him? It's him? Fong Mingrong remembered instantly. He had attended Fong Ping's parent-teacher conferences and met Wu Zhihao's father. As the student with the best grades in class, he not only influenced the students in the class, but also their parents. During the parent-teacher conferences, Fong Ping's homeroom teacher was not the type to curry favor with the rich and powerful, but it was normal for him to judge based on results. During the parent-teacher conferences, there would be comments like, Your Wu Zhihao is very good. He has a high chance of passing the martial sciences exams. If it was last year, he would definitely pass. It was not the first time the homeroom teacher had said something like that. Fong Mingrong had heard it a few times. Moreover, he had seen Wu Zhihao's father before. He was more presentable than the rest of them. He had even driven a small car to the parent-teacher conference. Unlike Fong Mingrong, who had gone on an electric scooter, Fong Mingrong would not believe that a parent whose son had a chance of entering a martial sciences university would swindle 20,000 from him. If Wu Zhihao did not pass the martial sciences exams after the Gaokao, it would be difficult. However, on the eve of the Gaokao, as Fong Ping had said, if things got out of hand, Wu Zhihao would be disqualified even if he passed the exams. At that thought, Fong Mingrong said immediately, All right, I have no opinion on this. I'll ask your mom to withdraw the money for you later. Remember to say more polite words when you visit and thank them properly for their help. If you don't pass the martial sciences exams now, I'll be too embarrassed to visit you. When you do, we'll visit them together to thank them and treat them to a meal. Even if you don't pass the exams, you still have to remember the favor. Fong Mingrong spoke for a while. To him, this was a huge favor. 10,000 less was not a small amount. However, when he went to the factory the next day, he would have to ask the workshop director to see if it was true. If the medicine was sold at a cheaper price in the pharmacy, then there would be no need to ask for their help. Although Fong Mingrong was just a normal worker, he was not stupid. If it were not for his son, he would not owe anyone a favor. His family's financial situation was limited. If he could save 10,000, he could buy more supplements for Fong Ping. At that thought, Fong Mingrong reminded him, Tell your classmates first. Only pay them when they need the money. Okay, Dad, don't worry. Fong Ping nodded quickly, apologizing inwardly. He had cheated him again. However, at this time, he had no choice but to cheat his father. If he did not do it himself, his father would probably have to buy medicine from somewhere else. Not only would it cost him money, but it would also not be very effective. Only when the money was in his hands would it be effective. At worst, he could return the money after he got his wealth. He wondered if his wealth would be deducted after he returned the money. Fong Ping felt that the possibility of it being deducted was very high. He wondered if it would be deducted if he converted it into vitality. In any case, the more wealth he had now, the higher his chances of passing the martial sciences exam. If he really passed the exam, even if his father knew that he had been cheated, he probably would not care. His parents did not suspect Fong Ping. When Fong Ping settled the matter and returned to his room, Fong Yuan was already waiting for him. She looked at Fong Ping as if she had caught him red-handed. Fong Ping, if you confess, you'll be lenient. If you resist, you'll be severely punished. Tell me. Fong Ping rolled his eyes. He reached out to pinch her face, but the girl dodged it quickly and snorted. Don't even think about using this trick. Tell me honestly, was what you said just now the truth? It's fine. Kids shouldn't worry about adults. You'll know if I'm telling the truth when I pass the martial sciences exam. Fong Ping did not bother to explain anything to his sister, so he gave her a perfunctory answer. Fong Yuan pouted and mumbled, "You're not allowed to lie. Or else. Don't even think about pinching my face." Fong Ping could not help but laugh. He patted the girl's head and said confidently, "Don't worry. Your brother won't cheat your parents of their hard-earned money for something else." You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.